Chapter 11:16. Ling Zhao's gaze was cold as he pointed his finger across the sky. A blazing light pierced through the void and instantly shattered the sword light. At the same time, Ling Zhao formed an invincible fist seal and blasted it towards a Deathkin elite around him. Although this formation was very strong, as long as one Deathkin elite was killed, the formation would naturally be broken. Rumble. The dazzling fist seal traversed the void like an immemorial divine mountain. It contained unparalleled divine power, and was about to completely kill the Deathkin elite. The Deathkin elite's expression changed. Immediately, the divine power around him rose. The power of 9 people gathered on his body at the same time, and he suddenly blasted a punch towards Ling Zhao. In his opinion, even if the power of 9 people could not kill Ling Zhao, it could still repel Ling Zhao. Crack! However, as soon as the two fists collided, he instantly understood how wrong he was. Ling Zhao's power was simply terrifying to the extreme. One of his arms directly exploded into a bloody mist. Boom! Ling Zhao kicked out and directly kicked his chest, wanting to completely kill him. Swoosh! 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 The light in the void was dazzling. Divine power rose from behind Ling Zhao. Blazing saber and sword light, as well as a powerful divine hand, were all aimed at Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao charged in all directions in this battle formation like a fierce dragon crossing the river. His power was so terrifying that it made Mo Hun and the others feel as if they could not restrain Ling Zhao. You want to stop me with such a broken formation? Ling Zhao sneered. His eyes were blazing with murderous intent as they fell on Mo Hun. He could not be bothered to waste more time with these Deathkin. He just wanted to quickly get rid of them, and then rescue Lin Feng and the others. Rumble. Divine light rose from Ling Zhao's body as he blasted out a punch. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts appeared behind him and gathered together to form an extremely terrifying fist seal. The divine light of the 4 divine beasts soared into the sky, as if it was going to completely break open the sky. The blazing light contained an extremely terrifying power, and turned into a chaotic color. It was going to recreate the chaotic world. 4 elephants heaven-striking style. This was originally a god-level martial art. After Ling Zhao's body became a god, he could finally unleash the full power of this move. Raging winds howled, the void trembled, lightning flashed, and chaotic fog filled the air. Ling Zhao punched out, and in an instant, numerous strange phenomena appeared and gathered together, making Ling Zhao look like an invincible god of war. This punch blasted towards Mo Hun, causing Mo Hun's expression to change drastically. Although Ling Zhao's 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique was extremely terrifying, it only made Mo Hun extremely fearful. But now Ling Zhao's 4 elephants striking the sky actually made Mo Hun feel a strong threat of death. Kill! Mo Hun roared. Black divine power rose around him, and his aura instantly skyrocketed. The power of the battle formation was also tumbling violently. The 9 Deathkin experts began to go all out, pouring all their power into Mo Hun's body. Rumble. A black saber appeared in Mo Hun's palm. It was ancient and mysterious, flowing with brilliant divine light. With an aura that could split the heavens and earth, it suddenly slashed down toward Ling Zhao. Crack! 4 elephants striking the sky was a divine technique created by Ling Zhao, by fusing the 4 great secret techniques. It contained the power of the 4 elephants' origin, and its power was unparalleled. It suddenly blasted on the black saber in Mo Hun's hand. Suddenly, the light was dazzling. Streaks of black divine light erupted like lightning, sweeping in all directions. Although the black saber was also a powerful divine weapon, it could not withstand the 4 elephants striking the sky at all. It was almost instantly sent flying. The 9 Deathkin experts, including Mo Hun, were all struck by lightning. They suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and were instantly sent flying. Even the originally incomparably powerful battle formation began to crumble at this moment. The 9 Deathkin experts were instantly severely injured. Ling Zhao stood in the air. His eyes were incomparably sharp as he stared indifferently at Mo Hun and the others. Instantly, their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with horror. The 9 Deathkin experts could not withstand the power of Ling Zhao's attack, and were all severely injured. If Ling Zhao continued to attack, it was very likely that they would all die in Ling Zhao's hands. Stop! At this moment, an indifferent and clear sigh sounded in the void. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. The mountain under Ling Zhao's feet seemed to split open. Dazzling light filled the air, and a huge ancient bronze coffin flew out from within. The ancient bronze coffin emitted an ancient and terrifying aura. It slowly floated in the void and blocked in front of Ling Zhao. Crack. The coffin lid slowly opened, and a woman in white sat up from within. The woman looked very beautiful. She was about 20 years old. Her face was flawless, and her skin was sparkling like jade. Her figure was graceful, and her curves undulated, exuding a different kind of temptation. Her entire body exuded a mysterious aura. Her eyes were as bright as the stars, but incomparably indifferent. Looking at Ling Zhao, it was as if there was a cold aura that locked onto Ling Zhao. Danger. Extreme danger. Ling Zhao's eyes instantly flashed, and his entire body began to be on guard. This woman in white made him feel extremely dangerous. Greetings to the ancestor. He trespassed into the Deathkin's sacred ground and killed our people. Ancestor, please kill this child for us. After seeing this woman in white, Emohan and many other Deathkin experts trembled all over. Then, they could not help but kneel down, and their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. This woman in white was actually the Deathkin's ancestor, and her aura seemed to have reached the true god realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Ling Zhao to feel this way. The woman in white was also surrounded by a dense death aura. Her temperament was extraordinary, as if she was the empress of the netherworld. Her entire body exuded a majesty and aura that ruled the world. She stared at Ling Zhao with an indifferent gaze. She was not angry at Ling Zhao for killing the Deathkin. Her eyes were as if she was looking at an ant. However, when she saw Jin Se beside Ling Zhao, her gaze could not help but waver a little. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He also felt that the way the woman in white looked at Jin Se was not right. Let them go. After a moment, the woman in white looked deeply at Jin Se, and then said indifferently, "What? Ancestor, you can't. They are here for the 7 Evils Gourd. This 7 Evils Gourd is the treasure of our Deathkin." Emohan's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief as he hurriedly said anxiously. He did not expect that the ancestor would give such an order, and let Ling Zhao and the others go so easily. Chapter 11:17. You dare to disobey my orders? The white-robed woman's eyes flashed sharply as she glanced indifferently at Emohan. Emohan shuddered and immediately prostrated himself. I wouldn't dare. Emohan obeys, I'll let them go now. Ling Zhao looked deeply at the white-robed woman. He could sense that the white-robed woman had let them go so easily because of Jin Se. Who are you? Why do I feel that you're very familiar? Jin Se's eyes revealed a trace of confusion as she looked at the white-robed woman and asked, Do you recognize me? The white-robed woman's eyes revealed a trace of excitement as she stared at Jin Se and asked, No, I just feel that you're familiar. Jin Se shook her head and replied. A trace of disappointment appeared in the white-robed woman's eyes as she said, Your Highness, when you wake up, you'll naturally recognize me. Since these 9 bastards have offended your Highness, they deserve to die. The white-robed woman's words were very calm, but it instantly caused the expressions of Emohan and the others to change greatly. They wanted to escape without a second thought. Boom. However, the white-robed woman's gentle palm struck them, and the 9 of them instantly exploded into a bloody mist in the void. She then swept them up and all their flesh, blood, and primordial spirits fell onto the 7-colored gourd vine. The 9 divine spirits of the Deathkin had been killed by the white-robed woman's palm just like that. Ling Zhao's eyes also revealed a trace of shock. The white dragon horse and the old goat were even more well-behaved. They were all frightened by the white-robed woman. I'm not a spiritual paragon. Jin Se frowned slightly as she looked at the white-robed woman and said. She could sense that the white-robed woman's relationship with a spiritual paragon was not ordinary, but unfortunately, she did not think that she was the spiritual paragon from 10,000 years ago. You're indeed not a spiritual paragon, but you're still a spiritual paragon. When you remember the past, you'll naturally come back to find me. When that time comes, I'll tell you everything. Your Highness, the 7 demons gourd is about to mature. Don't worry, Your 7 disciples aren't dead and they'll have a great opportunity. The white-robed woman spoke indifferently before lying down in the ancient bronze coffin again. She then turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the depths of the mountains. Lu Tongtian, who's that? Ling Xiao asked softly as he looked at the shocked Lu Tongtian. She is the master of the Thousand Coffin Mountain. You can also call her the King of Death Spirit. Lu Tongtian's eyes were filled with fear as he slowly spoke. King of Death Spirit? Is she very strong? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said indifferently. He's not just strong. I'm afraid you won't even be able to withstand a single move from her. She is the king of all living things in this Thousand Coffin Mountain. I thought we were dead for sure, but who would have thought that she would let us go? With that, Lu Tongtian glanced at Jin Se fearfully. The fact that the King of Death Spirit knew Jin Se shocked him greatly. Rumble. At this moment, the 7-colored gourd vine shone brightly, flowing with 7-colored light, becoming dazzling. Originally, the auras of the 7 small gourds had not reached their peak, but after the 9 Deathkin experts were slapped to death by the white-robed woman, they began to rapidly mature. Ling Xiao, hurry up and bring Lu Jiani here. Not only can he regain his memories, but he can also obtain an unimaginable opportunity. Lu Tongtian looked at the 7-colored gourd vine and hurriedly urged. All right. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he opened the god stone and brought Lu Jiani out. Greetings, master. Lu Jiani bowed to Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with confusion. He did not know why he was here. In the next moment, he saw Lu Tongtian and the 7-colored gourd vine in front of him. Grandfather? You're here too? What's this? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity? Lu Jiani exclaimed in surprise. At the same time, he looked at the 7-colored gourd vine with a tinge of surprise in his eyes. Jiani, go over now. There's a great opportunity waiting for you there. Perhaps it can allow you to become a supreme being directly. Lu Tongtian smiled as he pointed at the 7-colored gourd vine. Although Lu Jiani was confused, he still walked toward the 7-colored gourd vine obediently. For some reason, Lu Jiani felt that the 7-colored gourd vine was exuding a mysterious fluctuation, as if it was summoning him. Lu Tongtian, are you sure that my 7 disciples are fine? If anything happens to them, I won't let you off. Ling Xiao said as he stared at Lu Tongtian. Don't worry. Just now, the King of Death Spirit's palm not only killed the 9 Death Race fellows, but also saved your 7 disciples. Now, your 7 disciples have merged with the 7 Evils gourd, and they complement each other. As long as the 7 Evils gourd is fine, your 7 disciples will be fine. Lu Tongtian chuckled as a tinge of anticipation appeared in his eyes. Buzz. Lu Jiani walked toward the 7-colored gourd vine. Instantly, a black gourd emitted a dazzling light and swallowed Lu Jiani whole. Rumble. Just as the black gourd swallowed Lu Jiani, the 7-colored gourd vine shone brightly and the void shook violently. Bolts of lightning fell from the heavens. In an instant, heaven and earth trembled, and a strange fluctuation spread in all directions. It was as if some kind of treasure had appeared and the 7-colored divine light lit up the sky. The 7 gourds shone brightly and turned into 7 divine rainbows that filled the sky like a heavenly river. The 7 Evils gourd started to vibrate violently, and a strange spiritual fluctuation was emitted from it. Ding ding dang dang. The 7 small gourds collided with each other like wind chimes. The sound was crisp and clear. Kacha. When the 7-colored gourd vine shone brightly, the lightning in the void fell. However, before it could hit the 7 gourds, it was refined by a terrifying devouring force. Boom. Heaven and earth trembled, and a dazzling light shone as if it had lit up the entire world. The 7 Evils gourd on the 7-colored gourd vine fell off instantly, and 7 chubby dolls appeared in front of Ling Xiao and the others with a small gourd on their heads. The 7 dolls looked like they were carved out of jade and had big round eyes. They were very cute and looked like they were 3 or 4 years old. Their skin was as clear as jade and flowed with brilliant light. These are the Gourd brothers? Ling Xiao's eyes widened in an instant, his gaze filled with an incomparably strange expression. He had not expected 7 Gourd brothers to jump out of the 7 Evils gourd. He was stunned for a moment. Chapter 11:18. Wang. The 7 gourd dolls looked like they were carved from jade, and were incomparably cute. However, there was an incomparably majestic vitality flowing through their bodies. What shocked Ling Xiao was that the 7 gourd dolls began to grow at a visible rate. They quickly turned into 7, 8, or 9-year-old youths, and then slowly stopped growing. There was an incomparably majestic energy within their bodies that wasn't any weaker than a supreme expert. The sharpness of metal, the toughness of wood, the softness of water, the fierceness of fire, the heaviness of earth, the darkness and death of yin, and the light and vitality of yang. 7 different types of energy manifested within the 7 of them. However, Ling Xiao discovered that the 7 gourd dolls were made of pure energy. It was as if they contained the power of yin-yang, and the 5 elements, mysterious and unfathomable. Kacha. Just at this moment, the coffin of the Path Understanding tree suddenly shattered. 7 rays of light shot out from the Path Understanding tree, and instantly merged with the 7 of them. When the 7 of them slowly opened their eyes, they were all filled with incomparable excitement and joy. Mu Linfeng, Du Gelongcheng, Yi Qianjue, Lu Jiani, Yin Yang Tian, Lu Gechen, Ji Hanyang. Greetings, Master, greetings, Master's wife. The 7 of them knelt at the same time towards Ling Xiao and Jin Sei. Their voices were filled with incomparable excitement, and their eyes were filled with respect and admiration. Especially Lu Jiani. At this moment, he finally understood why Ling Xiao took him in as a disciple. So he was Ling Xiao's disciple to begin with. These were the 7 great disciples under Ling Xiao. At this moment, they had all returned. Get up! Ling Xiao and Jin Sei were also incomparably excited. Their eyes were slightly wet as they helped the 7 of them up. Ling Xiao originally thought that it was a life and death separation. He didn't have much hope that Mu Linfeng and the others were still alive when he arrived at the 1,000 Coffin Mountain. However, now that the 7 of them were all alive, Ling Xiao was incomparably excited. Lu Tongtian, can you tell me what's going on now? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at Lu Tongtian. Ling Xiao didn't understand the changes in front of him, and needed an explanation. Why did Mu Linfeng and the others merge with the 7 demons' gourd? Why did they become like this? Do you know what the 7 demons' gourd is? Lu Tongtian sighed softly and said slowly. Without waiting for Ling Xiao's reply, he muttered to himself. The 7 demons' gourd is a heavenly spiritual treasure. It contains the 7 great origins of yin, yang, and 5 elements. Even in the realm of the gods, it is a supreme treasure. Only the legendary sages have the right to possess such a treasure. The Deathkin originally wanted to use the 7 of them to nourish the 7 evils gourd seed, in addition to the boundless chi of life and death here, in order to create a supreme treasure like the 7 evils gourd. But a few decades ago, Lu Jiani was taken away by me, and the 7 demons' gourd was never able to reach perfection. This time, the King of Death Soul killed Mo Hun and the other 8 experts, nourished the 7 evils gourd with their flesh and blood, and completely merged their flesh, blood, and primordial spirits with the 7 evils gourd. It can be said that your 7 disciples are the 7 evils gourd itself, and they have the power of the 7 origins. So the 7 of them are the legendary innate saint bodies. Innate gold spiritual body, innate wood spiritual body, innate water spiritual body, innate fire spiritual body, innate earth spiritual body, innate yin-yang saint body, and innate life and death body. Lu Tongtian looked at Mu Linfeng and the others as if he was looking at a supreme treasure. His eyes were filled with incomparable amazement. 7 innate saint bodies? Ling Xiao was also shocked by Lu Tongtian's words. 10,000 years ago, although Mu Linfeng and the other 6 disciples were very talented, they did not reach the level of saint bodies. But because of the 7 evils gourd, the 7 of them became innate saint bodies. This was too unbelievable. Moreover, with the power of the 7 evils gourd, their bodies already have the foundation of the divine path. If they were in the realm of the gods, they would probably be able to reach the divine spirit realm immediately. But even in the mortal world, as long as they cultivate a little, they will soon reach the peak of the human Tao. Moreover, if the 7 of them merge into one, they will completely form the innate spiritual treasure gourd, and have the power to kill gods and demons. Lu Tongtian said slowly. Lu Tongtian's words made Ling Xiao a little envious. In his rebirth, He had experienced countless life and death situations before he could reach the divine spirit realm. In the end, the 7 of them were very good. They actually directly possessed the power of the divine path. This also showed how powerful and terrifying the 7 evils gourd was. How do you know so much? The old goat looked at Lu Tongtian suspiciously and asked. Because the 7 evils gourd seed was originally mine. It was mine. It was snatched away by those bastards from the Death Kin. What a waste of a treasure. Speaking of this, Lu Tongtian's face was immediately filled with depression. Then are they treasures or humans now? 7 living people merged into one with the 7 evils gourd. Isn't it too strange? The white dragon horse asked with wide eyes. You can treat them as treasures or humans because they are formed by the fusion of humans and the 7 evils gourd. They have the bloodline of humans and also the power of the 7 origins. Ling Xiao, if you want to deal with demon god King Bo Sun, you may need to rely on them. Lu Tongtian said as he looked at Ling Xiao with a meaningful gaze. Well, at this moment, a light flashed in Mu Linfeng's hand and a golden gourd appeared. He opened it gently and hundreds of millions of sword qi shot out from it. It contained unparalleled power. It was the innate metal sword qi. It was extremely terrifying. Master, who is demon god King Bo Sun, the 7 of us will definitely be able to help you slaughter him. Mu Linfeng asked curiously. Being reborn 10,000 years later made him extremely curious about everything that had happened. Eldest senior brother, let me tell you, many things have happened in the past 10,000 years. Without waiting for Ling Xiao to speak, Lu Jiani chuckled and explained everything that had happened in the past 10,000 years. The 7 of them gathered for the first time after 10,000 years and were extremely excited. At the same time, they were also extremely curious about the current situation. Ling Xiao, if the 7 evils gourd appeared in the divine realm, even godly king experts would brazenly fall out and snatch it. These 7 disciples of yours are both treasures and disasters, so you must be careful in the future. Lu Tongtian said slowly. What's your purpose in telling me this? Ling Xiao looked at Lu Tongtian and asked. Chapter 11:19. Don't worry, I don't have any ulterior motives. As long as you can take good care of the 7 of them, I'll be at ease. The gates to the realm of gods will open soon. I hope you can wipe out the demon race as soon as possible. Lu Tongtian smiled faintly as he looked at the sky in the distance. There was a hint of worry in his eyes. Don't worry. They're my disciples. I'll naturally take good care of them. No one will dare to hurt them. Ling Xiao nodded. Since Lu Tongtian wasn't willing to say, he didn't force him. However, Ling Xiao cultivated the heavens will secret skill and could sense traces of fate. He could feel that Lu Tongtian didn't have any ill intentions towards him. That was enough. Old Lu, I still have a friend. He's the Supreme Azura from 10,000 years ago. He used the divine wood of time to seal himself here. Do you know where he is? Ling Xiao began to ask Lu Tongtian about the Supreme Azura's whereabouts. The Supreme Azura from 10,000 years ago used the divine wood of time as a coffin? I do know where he is. However, I advise you not to disturb him. His cultivation has reached the most crucial moment. Lu Tongtian's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Oh, why do you say that? Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Follow me. Lu Tongtian smiled faintly as he flew towards the mountain in the distance. The 7 of you should return to the Changxin sect first. I'll go look for your martial uncle Azura. Ling Xiao said to the 7 of them. He then kept them in the heavenly stone and asked Lu Jian to bring them back to the Changxin sect. As for how big of a commotion the 7 of them would cause when they returned to the Changxin sect, Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered about that for now. Ling Xiao and Lu Tongtian stopped in front of a triple star mountain. It was called the Triple Star Mountain because there were 3 peaks that emitted black light. They surrounded each other, and there was a deep valley in the middle. The valley emitted a thick death aura. There was even a hint of divine Dao law. The Supreme Azura should be in this valley. However, he's at the crucial moment of reversing life and death and breaking through to the godly state. You'd better not disturb him. Lu Tongtian looked at the valley below and spoke slowly. Reversing life and death and breaking through to the godly state? Can one break through to the godly state in the Thousand Coffin Mountain? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he asked slowly. Lu Tongtian said slowly, I know what you want to say. The gates to the divine world are closed, and the mortal world is unable to sense the laws of the divine Tao. It is naturally incomparably difficult to attain the Tao and become a god using the laws of the divine force. But the 8 great forbidden grounds were different. The 8 great forbidden grounds all possessed incomplete divine Tao laws, and even had some sort of connection with the divine realm. If he wanted to attain Tao and become a god, the 8 great forbidden grounds were a better place. Supreme Azura's lifespan was nearing its end, but at the last moment, he had comprehended the laws of life and death, forming a mysterious connection with the Thousand Coffin Mountain. Now he was about to break through to the deity realm. That's why I told you not to disturb him. The 8 great forbidden lands all have divine Tao laws. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a little tempted. He had always been puzzled by the fact that he had broken through to the 3 gods stage. If it was really as Lu Tongtian said, that the 8 great forbidden lands could all become gods, perhaps he could give it a try. That's right. Moreover, the 8 great forbidden grounds are far from as simple as you think. Lu Tongtian looked at Ling Zhao and said with deep meaning. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as if he had thought of something. He asked, could the death race of the Thousand Coffin Mountain be related to the divine realm? And the other great sacred grounds, do they also have existences similar to the death race? Lu Tongtian nodded and said, among the 8 great forbidden grounds, the Time Cave has the Scarlet Dragon War God's bloodline. You already know that. The God Burial Cave has the God Burial race, the Universe River has the Celestial race, and the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land has the Heavenly Devil race, which is also the extraterritorial demon race. If you want to find demon god King Bo Sun, you might be able to find some clues in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. The Thousand Coffin Mountain has the death race, the Holy Ground has the ancient demon race, the primitive ancient mine has the witch race, and the Reincarnation Sea has the Reincarnation Beast race. These are all related to the divine realm. Due to various reasons, they had always been in the forbidden grounds, and there was no way for them to leave. However, the door to the divine realm is about to open, which also means that there is an opportunity to return to the divine realm. Therefore, these days there are all kinds of powerful beings in the forbidden grounds. If you want to become a god using the divine power law, the cosmic river is the best place. The divine power law there is vast and boundless. However, the celestial tribe is also the most arrogant and powerful. There are many powerful gods, so you still have to be careful. The cosmic river? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. In his previous life he had also been to the cosmic river. It was a strange place in the war god continent. It contained endless chaotic power of laws, as if there were many broken small worlds and stars gathered there. The divine power was like an ocean, and it was very dangerous. Ling Zhao didn't expect the celestial tribe to exist in the cosmic river. However, in order to reach the 3 gods stage and fight against the demon god King Bo Sun, Ling Zhao planned to go to the cosmic river. Thank you for your advice, Elder Lu. I wonder if you know about the 7 souls dispersing soul light? Ling Zhao looked at Lu Tongtian and asked, 7 souls dispersing soul light? Hearing these words, Lu Tongtian's face turned solemn. He glanced at Jin Se and sighed. You want me to treat her, right? Does Elder Lu have a way? Ling Zhao's eyes lit up. Lu Tongtian smiled bitterly and said, I don't have a way. Unless you can kill the demon god King Bo Sun, the 7 souls dispersing soul light will naturally disperse. Or, you can find the supreme emotion for getting water. Ling Zhao's eyes showed a trace of disappointment. Lu Tongtian's words were almost exactly the same as Zhu Gonglia's. Ling Zhao naturally didn't want Jin Se to consume the supreme emotion for getting water. It seemed that the only way was to kill the demon god King Bo Sun. The supreme emotion for getting water is a supreme divine item. I'm afraid we don't have it in our world. So you should cultivate hard. If you can reach the 3 gods stage and kill the demon god King Bo Sun, you can naturally cure her. However, her lifespan is almost up. I'm afraid she only has less than 10 years left. You have to hurry. Lu Tongtian's eyes showed a trace of pity. Thank you for telling me. I will definitely kill the demon god King Bo Sun. Ling Zhao's eyes showed a trace of determination. All right. Now that this matter is over, I have to leave. Please take good care of the 7 souls gourd. We should meet again. Lu Tongtian smiled faintly and walked into the distance. Soon he disappeared in front of Ling Xiao and Jin Se. Ling Xiao looked at Lu Tongtian's departing figure and unconsciously clenched his fist. Was there only 10 years left? Chapter 11:20. All right. Jin Se, no matter where you want to go, I will accompany you. Ling Xiao nodded seriously. Big brother Ling Xiao, don't be sad. To be able to see you again. I feel that this is the greatest gift from the heavens. Whether you can kill demon god King Bo Sun or not, I have no regrets. Jin Se smiled gently. Her smile was like a flower, and her face was beautiful. Her big eyes were sparkling, filled with happiness and gentleness. Jin Se, I will definitely kill demon god King Bo Sun, I promise. I want you to stay by my side forever and never leave me. Ling Xiao hugged Jin Se in his arms and said slowly. It seemed like he was talking to Jin Se, but also to himself. 2 figures stood on top of the mountain, their clothes fluttering in the wind. The old goat and the white dragon horse stood behind them. It was rare that they didn't make any jokes, but their eyes were filled with complicated emotions. This pair of immortal couple was like a jade couple. Why was the heavens so cruel to separate them? The following days became much more relaxed. Ling Xiao and Jin Se rode the white dragon horse and traveled across the war god continent. They came to the twin mountains that had long disappeared. They went to the Azure Dragon Temple where they once fought, and many other places that they went to together 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years had changed the world. Although many places had lost their original appearance, Jin Se was still very happy and blissful. Or rather, as long as she could be by Ling Zhao's side, she would be happy no matter where she went. She stayed in the sealed world alone for 10,000 years. Her thin shoulders carried a heavy burden. She suppressed billions of demons, swept through the sealed world, and became the sword goddess that everyone feared. But this wasn't what she wanted. What she wanted was actually very simple. Just like now, even if she didn't have any cultivation, even if she could see the end of her lifespan, it was enough as long as Ling Xiao was around. Flowers bloomed and withered, and the world flourished. She only had Ling Xiao in her eyes, and Ling Xiao was the world in her eyes. A few months later, they returned to the longevity sect. The return of Mu Linfeng and the other 6 disciples shocked the disciples of the longevity sect again. The 7 of them were the same generation as the ancestors of the longevity sect. Especially Long Outyin, he was so happy that he almost went crazy. All of a sudden, he had 7 martial nephews who were about the same age as him. Moreover, they were all important figures from 10,000 years ago. This brat had become a little tyrant, swaggering around with Mu Linfeng and the others all day long. Those sects that had offended Ling Xiao were now in trouble. Under Long Outyin's leadership, the 8 of them were like bandits, plundering everything and taking away all the treasures. However, those holy lands of the martial Dao didn't dare to say anything. They even had to greet them with a smile. Otherwise, if that malefic Ling Xiao found out, they would be finished. They couldn't wait for Long Outyin to come and rob them. That way, they might be able to preserve their holy land's inheritance. A few sanctuaries that had blood feuds with Ling Xiao, such as the Nantian aristocratic family, the Star Palace, the Netherworld Pavilion, the Emperor Tomb Mountain, etc., had all sealed their mountain gates. Everyone was restless, afraid that Ling Xiao would kill his way in one day. In the end, Ling Xiao didn't kill his way in. Long Outyin, Mu Linfeng, and the others came and killed some of the higher-ups of the Holy Lands. They stole some treasures, but they didn't dare to say anything. They were extremely regretful. The entire War God continent had practically become Long Outyin, Mu Linfeng, and the others' backyard. They were tormenting it to their heart's content. After Ling Xiao returned to the Changsun sect, he decisively gave these guys a confinement order, telling them to cultivate in seclusion, and not to go out and cause trouble. Mu Linfeng and the others had the innate saint body and the power of the divine path. They were the most suitable to cultivate the Aries technique. Ling Xiao simply passed the Aries technique to the 7 of them. The Aries technique was the most powerful martial art that Ling Xiao had obtained. It was enough for him to cultivate to the Divine King realm. It was passed down personally by the Scarlet Dragon of War, and was far superior to ordinary supreme martial arts. With the Ares technique, the cultivation of Mu Linfeng and the others improved by leaps and bounds. It was almost 1 realm per day. The speed made Ling Xiao tremble with fear. On this day, when Ling Xiao was about to bid farewell to Jinsei and head to the Universe River, an uninvited guest came to the Changsun sect. Where is Ling Xiao from the Changsun sect? Why aren't you coming out to receive the decree? A cold and arrogant voice sounded in the sky above the Changsun mountain. It was a young man in a white robe. He looked extraordinarily handsome with a slender and heroic figure. He exuded a powerful aura. He had a head full of long white hair, looking incomparably elegant. His eyes were sky blue, like resplendent gems. However, his face was full of arrogance, and his eyes were cold. Behind him was a skinny old man in a white robe. He had a head full of white hair, and his sky blue eyes seemed to contain a vast starry sky. Who are you? How dare you call out the name of the sky-devouring patriarch? Get down here. The enforcers who were guarding the vicinity of the Longevity Mountain appeared instantly. A group of Longevity sect disciples stared at the young man in the air with cold gazes. Ling Xiao was the invincible god of war in the hearts of the Changsun sect disciples. He was their faith. This young man dared to behave atrociously in the Changsun sect, and even wanted Ling Xiao to receive the decree. This angered the Changsun sect disciples. A bunch of ants dares to shout at this young master? You're courting death. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the young man in white robes. Instantly he slammed his palm down. The terrifying palm print was incomparably vast, and contained a powerful divine might. The law enforcement disciples were mostly in the noble realm or celestial realm. They were no match for this young man. They were instantly turned into a bloody mist. Enemy attack. The eyes of the Changsun sect's disciples instantly turned bloodshot. Some of them even started to roar. This was only the outer sect of the Changsun sect. The core disciples of the inner sect were all in the Changsun world. The news quickly reached Ling Xiao's ears. When Ling Xiao heard the news, his gaze instantly turned cold. At this time, who dared to behave atrociously in the Changsun sect? He wanted to see who was so audacious. Swoosh. Ling Xiao brought the old goat and the white dragon horse. Behind them were Nangong Xian and the other elders and disciples of the Changsun sect. Grandson, how dare you kill the disciples of the Changsun sect? Who gave you the guts? Get down here and accept your death. The old goat looked at the arrogant white-robed young man, and immediately became angry. He sneered and said, "Don't worry. This young man's cultivation seemed to be extraordinary. He had reached the 9th level of the Supreme Realm." The white-robed old man behind him had a terrifying aura. He was a godly spirit. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He was sure that these two people were living beings from the Forbidden Grounds. Chapter 11:21. How dare you? A mere animal dares to make a big fuss in front of this young master? The white-robed young man's eyes turned cold as he scolded the old goat. The word beast immediately infuriated the old goat. The old goat clenched his teeth and cursed. "You're the beast. Your whole family are beasts. You dog, open your eyes wide. When I swept across the world and was invincible, you were still in your mother's womb. No, even your father was in your mother's womb. Get down here if you dare. I'll beat you up until your mother can't recognize you. You're courting death." The white-robed young man's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he slammed his palm down on the old goat. Boom. The old goat sneered as divine energy surged around him. He seemed to have turned into a stream of light that was hard to catch with the naked eye. He instantly escaped from the range of the white-robed young man's palm. At the same time, he leaped into the sky and smashed his huge paw down on the white-robed young man. The white-robed young man's expression changed slightly as soon as the old goat attacked. He did not expect the old goat to be a titled supreme being whose cultivation was stronger than his. Without thinking, he clenched his palm into a fist and punched out. Bang! A muffled sound came from the void as an unparalleled divine energy came crushing down. The white-robed young man was sent flying a few hundred feet away by the old goat, before he crashed heavily on a mountain peak in the distance. Boom! The mountain peak was smashed into pieces by the white-robed young man. The mountain peak trembled as rocks flew everywhere and the earth rumbled. The old goat's true form was the godly beast Taotai. He had received the complete inheritance of the monster saint, and his cultivation was stronger than the white-robed young man's. At this moment, his invincible physical strength exploded. The white-robed young man was careless and instantly suffered a great loss. "Bastard, I'm going to kill you." The white-robed young man's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he rushed out from the mountain peak. He looked a little embarrassed as his hair was disheveled, and his eyes were filled with humiliation and anger. Buzz! A black ancient sword appeared in his hand. It exuded an unparalleled sharpness as it slashed down at the old goat. The ancient black sword was like a black flood dragon, floating in the void. Sword Chi rose up, containing a powerful divine might. The sword seemed to be able to split the world in half. It was terrifying. "Fuck off." The old goat sneered. The demon saint's scepter materialized. He used it as a long stick and swung it towards the white-robed young man. Clang! The demon saint's scepter and the black ancient sword collided, and a bright light burst out. Suddenly, the black ancient sword was repelled. At the same time, the old goat took advantage of the situation to come over and kick the white-robed young man's chest. Puff! The old goat's hoof could even crush an immemorial mountain. It contained a terrifying power. The white-robed young man felt as if he was struck by lightning. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face instantly became extremely pale. "How dare you?" The eyes of the white-robed old man behind the white-robed young man flashed a cold light, and he sent a palm smashing down on the old goat. He did not expect that the white-robed young man would be defeated so quickly. Moreover, it seemed that the young man had suffered heavy injuries. Immediately he felt as if he had been greatly provoked. "A bunch of shameless bastards. You beat up the young one, and now the old one is here. Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" The old goat was truly enraged. The demon saint's scepter in his hand shone brightly and emitted a mysterious and vast aura. It was as if a terrifying figure was about to emerge from the demon saint's scepter. Bang! The white-robed old man's palm was directly shattered by the demon saint's scepter. Even the white-robed old man trembled, and could not help but take a few steps back. "It's a godly king weapon?" The white-robed old man trembled as a scorching light appeared in his eyes. "It's such a waste for such a treasure to be in the hands of an evil creature. Give it to me." The white-robed old man took a fancy to the demon saint's scepter in the old goat's hand. Immediately, divine energy rose from his body and he turned into a handsome young man. His white hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was powerful. He emitted a mysterious aura of being one with the heavens as if he had become one with the heavens. The energy fluctuation was extremely terrifying. He sent a fist smashing down on the old goat. It was as if billions of lightning bolts were descending at the same time. Scram! Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly, revealing a hint of impatience as he threw out a punch. Crack! Ling Zhao's fist illuminated the sky like a golden mountain as it flew toward the white-robed old man. It contained a vast amount of vital energy, and there seemed to be a vast dragon's roar. What? The white-robed old man's expression changed. He had no choice but to clash with Ling Zhao's fist. Bang! Heaven and earth shook. The white-robed old man felt as if an unparalleled divine energy was attacking him. He could not dodge and his entire body was sent flying by Ling Xiao. "You're that Ling Xiao. You. How can you be so strong?" The white-robed young man and white-robed old man both had a trace of disbelief in their eyes. In their eyes, the beings on the war god continent were like ants. If it were not for the fact that they could not leave, they would have razed this world to the ground. Now that the world had changed, they were able to leave the forbidden grounds. However, they did not put the people on the war god continent in their eyes. Even Ling Xiao, who claimed to have killed a god, was at most a demigod in their eyes. But now they suddenly realized that Ling Xiao was a true god. His strength was extremely terrifying. "Who are you? Why did you kill the disciples of my Changsun sect? Tell me honestly, and I can give you a quick death." Ling Xiao said indifferently. His voice was very calm. He had already treated these two fellows as dead people. "Ling Xiao, how dare you? We're from the heavenly human tribe. His Majesty, the heavenly king of my tribe, has issued a decree. Why aren't you kneeling down to receive the decree? Do you want your Changsun sect to be annihilated? The white-robed young man's eyes were extremely cold as he shouted at Ling Xiao. Heavenly human tribe? Beings from the universe river? I haven't found you yet, and you dare to come to my Changsun sect. You really don't know what's good for you. Who is the heavenly king of your tribe? How dare he issue a decree to me? What a joke. Ling Xiao sneered coldly as his eyes were filled with coldness. He was planning to go to the universe river to cultivate and try to prove his Tao to become a god. He did not expect the people from the heavenly human tribe to come. How dare you blaspheme the heavenly king of my tribe? The white-robed young man's eyes turned cold as he revealed a trace of cold-killing intent. You really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Who gave you the courage to be so arrogant in front of me? Chapter 11:22. Stop. The white-robed old man's expression changed. He knew how terrifying Ling Xiao's strength was. The white-robed young man was no match for Ling Xiao, so he didn't even think about it. He directly punched towards Ling Xiao, wanting to block Ling Xiao. Get lost. Ling Xiao spat out a word indifferently. Then a golden fist suddenly exploded, crossing the void in all directions. It was so vast that it directly sent the white-robed old man flying with a punch. Whoosh! Ling Xiao appeared in front of the white-robed young man almost instantaneously. He grabbed his neck with one hand and lifted him up like he was a chick. The white-robed young man couldn't fight back at all in Ling Xiao's hands. I'll ask and you'll answer. Otherwise, I'll kill you right now. Ling Xiao said indifferently. There wasn't a trace of emotion in his eyes. The white-robed young man wanted to curse, but when he met Ling Xiao's cold eyes, he couldn't help but shudder. He swallowed all his words. Ling Xiao, let go of my young master. Otherwise, no one can save you. The white-robed elder's eyes were gloomy as he stared at Ling Xiao. However, the white-robed young man was in Ling Xiao's hands. What's your name? Why did you come to my Changsun sect? Ling Xiao ignored the white-robed elder. Instead, he looked at the white-robed young man and asked. Sensing the cold murderous intent in Ling Xiao's eyes, the white-robed young man chose to tell the truth. He gritted his teeth and said, My name is Bai Fong. I'm from the celestial tribe. I heard that you killed the god of war from the war god shrine and destroyed the war god shrine. You're known as the most powerful person in the war god continent. Our heavenly king has issued a decree for you to visit our heavenly king. He also wants your Changsun sect to submit to our celestial tribe. Submit to the celestial tribe? What's the celestial tribe? Do you think you're worthy enough for my Changsun sect to submit to? Long Outyin curled his lips and laughed coldly. What's the cultivation of your heavenly king? Why do you want me to meet him? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. Bai Fong said honestly. My heavenly king is a peak true god. He's the strongest person in this world. 1,000,000 years ago, he followed the Scarlet Dragon god of war to conquer the demon race. He's extremely powerful. When he mentioned his majesty, Bai Fong's eyes were filled with admiration. A mere peak true god cultivation base dares to call yourself a heavenly king? How reckless. If he was in the celestial realm, he would have long been beaten to death. Zhu Ganglai sneered. Not everyone in the divine world dared to call themselves kings. Only the peerless experts of the divine king realm dared to call themselves kings. If that heavenly king of the heaven realm was only a true god stage cultivator, then he was truly arrogant and conceited. How many deities are there in your celestial clan? Why was he holed up in the universe river? Why is it reappearing now? Ling Xiao asked as calmly as ever. There are more than 10 deities in our celestial clan. All of them followed the Scarlet Dragon war god from the god realm 1,000,000 years ago. It's just that for the past 1,000,000 years, the gates to the divine realm have been closed, and the mortal world can't sense the laws of the divine realm. We had no choice but to seal ourselves in the cosmic river. However, our heavenly king has recently received a decree from the divine realm. The gates to the divine realm will be completely open soon, and that's why we came out. Under Ling Xiao's questioning, Bai Fong honestly told him everything. It turned out that the celestial clan was really from the divine realm. They opened up a small heaven realm in the cosmic river as the habitat of the celestial clan. Although there were very few people in the celestial clan, every one of them was extremely talented, and their cultivation speed was extremely fast. What moved Ling Xiao even more was that the small heaven realm of the celestial clan actually contained a complete set of divine Tao laws. I've told you everything you want to know. Can you let me go now? Bai Feng's eyes were filled with apprehension, and there was no longer a trace of arrogance in them. He originally thought that as a celestial clan expert, he would be able to defeat the group of country bumpkins from the war god continent. Not to mention that he had a deity expert with him. However, he didn't expect that Ling Xiao, who was rumored to have destroyed the war god temple, was also a deity. Moreover, his strength was extremely terrifying, and he had kicked an iron plate. Now, he only hoped that Ling Xiao would let him go. When he returned to the celestial clan, he would definitely invite the heavenly king to kill Ling Xiao. Let you go? When did I say that I would let you go? You killed a disciple of the House of Longevity, so you'll have to pay with your life, Ling Xiao said coolly. How dare you, Ling Xiao? I'm a core member of the celestial clan. If you kill me, the heavenly king won't let you off the hook. The House of Longevity will be razed to the ground because of you. Bai Feng's face fell, and he began to threaten Ling Xiao. You don't know the difference between life and death, do you? Ling Xiao laughed coldly. Without any hesitation, he snapped Bai Feng's neck and destroyed his life force. Even his nascent divinity was suppressed by the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Although the kid seemed honest, Ling Xiao still needed to soul search him. He couldn't be fooled by him. You deserve to die, Ling Xiao. The white-robed elder was instantly enraged. His eyes were filled with incomparably cold killing intent. He had never imagined that Ling Xiao would be so vicious as to kill Bai Feng. How could he dare to kill a member of the celestial clan? Was he not afraid of the celestial clan's revenge? Rumble. The white-robed old man's divine power rose around him, emitting a terrifying wave of energy as he slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao. Gotcha. Black thunderbolts flashed across the sky. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. He also leaped into the sky and punched out, his powerful qi and blood exploding. Although the white-robed old man was strong, there was no way he could defeat Ling Xiao in his current state. After a few rounds, he was directly blasted to death by Ling Xiao. The white-robed old man's essence blood and nascent divinity had been refined by Ling Xiao using the heaven-devouring secret technique. The body of a celestial clan member seemed to contain some mysterious power of law. Ling Xiao could even extract a trace of the power of law to nourish himself. These two fellows from the celestial race were both killed by Ling Xiao. The disciples of the House of Longevity looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of worship. Their nascent divinities were suppressed by Ling Xiao, and he was about to use the soul-searching technique to search their memories. Before long, two more people arrived at the House of Longevity. To Ling Xiao's surprise, he knew both of them, but he hadn't seen them in a long time. Li Chunfeng from the Feng Shui aristocratic family, and Mu Tianji from the Tomb King City. Chapter 1123. The Feng Shui family and the Tomb King City had the power of curse in their bloodlines, which was very similar to the Panga clan and the Reincarnation Beast clan in the Reincarnation realm. But after the curse was lifted, their cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Greetings, Sky-Devouring Supreme. We were all wondering why your talent was so monstrous. Who would have thought that you were the Sky-Devouring Supreme from 10,000 years ago? To think that you could come back to life, this is unbelievable. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of shock. Both of you don't have to be so courteous. Ling Xiao smiled. He had some questions that he needed answers from Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji. Brother Ling, did you just kill someone from the heavenly human tribe? If that's the case, I'm afraid you'll have a death feud with the heavenly human tribe. Li Chunfeng said with a sigh. That's right. Brother Ling, the heavenly human tribe is a powerful force even in the realm of the gods. They are arrogant and hold grudges. Legend has it that there are even sages in the tribe. It's not wise for you to offend them. Mu Tianji said slowly. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said nonchalantly, the celestial race coveted the Changsun sect and wanted us to submit to them. They even killed our disciples. Even if I didn't kill those two, would the celestial race let us go? If they don't know what's good for them, I don't mind annihilating them. However, it seems like the Feng Shui family and Muwang City are also from the realm of the gods. It seems like you know quite a lot about the realm of the gods. We have to thank Brother Ling for giving us the 9 writings of destiny. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to remove the curse. After the bloodline curse was broken, we received some inheritance from the bloodline and learned of our origins. Mu Tianji said with a bitter smile. Oh, since the Feng Shui family and Muwang City are both from the realm of the gods, who would put such a vicious curse on you? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Our 2 tribes were exiled to the mortal realm. Some big shot in the realm of the gods didn't want our 2 tribes to return to the realm of the gods. That's why they left behind such a curse. For the past million years, the gate of the gods was closed to fend off the demons and also to exile us. Li Chunfeng said slowly with a hint of hatred in his eyes. Does this have anything to do with the battle a million years ago? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he asked slowly. That's right. Li Chunfeng nodded. According to the memories in our bloodline and the records in our clan, the battle a million years ago was not as simple as it seemed. It was not just a simple battle against the extraterrestrial demons. It also involved the infighting between the major forces in the celestial realm. My Feng Shui family and Tomb Monarch City were the sacrifices of that battle. The heavenly human realm Tian and Mu Wang Tian was Mu to Wang City and Mu realm to the heavenly human Mu heaven. Family and clan and Mu City were. Them was to the forces Mu forces. The heavenly human clan, death clan, sky burying clan, sorcerer clan, and other experts are not simply here to defend against the devil clan. It is said that they have another mission, which is to find a treasure. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He suddenly thought of the wordless heavenly book. Could it be so coincidental? That's right. The Scarlet Dragon God of War was from the Temple of War. He was there not only to fend off the demons, but also to find that treasure. Legend has it that it was a heavenly book. For some reason, it was lost in the heavenly human realm. The demons invaded the heavenly human realm Tian and Mu Wang Tian to find the wordless heavenly book. A million years ago, the wordless heavenly book fell into the hands of the Scarlet Dragon God of War. He used the wordless heavenly book to become the strongest of his generation. He led many experts to fight against the 10 great demon kings. In the end, he defeated the demons, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. After the Scarlet Dragon God of War died, the wordless heavenly book disappeared without a trace. Li Chunfeng said slowly. The demons invaded the heavenly human realm Tian because of the wordless heavenly book? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Even Zhu Ganglai hadn't mentioned this before. Master, it's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just that I've been sealed for a million years and my memories are blurry. I'm not sure if the demons invaded the heavenly human realm Tian for the wordless heavenly book. Zhu Ganglai could not help but laugh bitterly when he saw Ling Xiao looking at him. Is that so? Ling Xiao nodded calmly. No one knew what he was thinking at this moment. So Ling Xiao, you're in real danger. You've used the wordless heavenly book many times and obtained the inheritance of the wordless heavenly book. I'm afraid some people have already noticed you. If the gate of the God realm opens and a godly expert descends, you'll be in danger. Li Chunfeng looked at Ling Xiao and said, What's the cultivation level of the expert descending from the God realm? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he looked at Li Chunfeng. If the expert descending from the God realm was a divine king or a heavenly god, Ling Xiao would not be a match for him. When the gate of the God realm opens, the power of law will be restored. However, in the early stages of the gate of the God realm, the expert that descends will not be too strong. At most, his cultivation level will be in the true God realm. However, that's a true God from the God realm. His strength is unparalleled. Ordinary people will not be able to fight against him. Mu Tianji's eyes flashed with a trace of worry. Although he knew that Ling Xiao had already become a god, he did not think that Ling Xiao had the strength to fight against a true god from the God realm. A true god expert? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. If he could reach the triple deity realm, coupled with his various means, he might be able to fight against a true god expert. This made him feel slightly relieved. Brother Ling, if the experts from the God realm descend, especially the enemies of my feng shui family in Muwang City. They will definitely not let us go. Therefore, we hope that you can break through your cultivation level as soon as possible. Not only will you be able to fight against the demon race, but also those from the God realm. Li Chunfeng revealed his true thoughts. Ling Xiao knew that if what Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji said was true, once the gate of the God realm opened and the experts from the God realm descended, they would definitely target him, the feng shui family, and Muwang City. Ling Xiao, Li Chunfeng, and Mu Tianji could be said to be grasshoppers on the same rope. They had a common goal and shared the same interests. I'm going to make a trip to the Cosmos River and make use of the divine Tao law there to break through to the triple deity realm. Perhaps then, I might be able to fight against demon god King Bo Sun and the experts from the God realm. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he explained his plan once more. Triple deity realm? You've already reached the God realm with your physical body and have broken through the most difficult stage. It's not impossible for you to reach the triple deity realm. However, the Cosmos River is not the best choice. Ling Xiao, if you trust us, follow us to the God Burial Cave. There is a secret realm there that will allow you to ascend to the God realm using the divine Tao law. Chapter 1124. God Burial Cave? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. When he returned from the reincarnation world, the first place he went to was the God Burial Cave. At that time, he felt that there were powerful God Tao laws in the God Burial Cave. Li Chunfeng was the successor of a feng shui family. He was extremely useful in finding secret realms and locating geomancy. Ling Xiao felt that his words were more trustworthy. That's right. The God Burial Cave is the place where the gods were buried during the Great Divine Demon War. The laws of the gods are gathered there. If you can refine and devour them, you will definitely be able to use the God Tao. Although there are powerful God Tao laws in the Cosmos River, it has already been taken over by the celestial race. The king of the celestial race is extremely powerful. If there is no need, it is best not to clash with him. Mu Tianji said to Ling Xiao. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji saw Ling Xiao as their hope to fight against the experts of the divine world. Therefore, they were extremely concerned about whether Ling Xiao could break through to the three gods stage. Alright. Then let's go to the God Burial Cave. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he made up his mind. The appearance of the experts of the celestial race gave Ling Xiao a sense of urgency. He didn't know when the gate of the divine world would open, and when Demon King Bo Sun would return. To the experts of the divine world and the demon race, they were all Ling Zhao's enemies. Therefore, he wanted to raise his strength as soon as possible. Ling Xiao bade farewell to Jin Sei and the rest. He also ordered the disciples of the longevity sect to retreat into the longevity world, to prevent the experts of the celestial race from coming to seek revenge. Ling Xiao then left the longevity sect with Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, and headed towards the God Burial Cave. The God Burial Cave was extremely vast and contained many mysterious spaces. Very few people were able to explore the secrets of the God Burial Cave. I heard that the God Burial Cave has the existence of the God Burial Tribe. Do you know about it? Ling Xiao asked the two of them. God Burial Tribe? The truth was that the God Burying race could also be called the zombie race. The so-called God Burying race was just trying to flatter themselves. The Emperor Tomb Mountain was a power supported by the God Burying race. The God Burial Tribe is extremely powerful, and is not much weaker than the celestial race. So you must be careful. This time, we won't have any conflict with the God Burying race, so we don't need to bother with them for the time being. Mu Tianji slowly said. So it's the power behind Emperor Tomb Mountain? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he nodded his head and said. The three of them tore through the void and soon arrived at God Burial Cave. Rumble. In the distant God Burial Cave, resplendent pillars of divine light shot up into the skies. One could see deep abysses in the ground, spewing out resplendent light, and emitting a mysterious aura. Standing at the periphery of the God Burial Cave, one could feel a majestic divine Tao law within the God Burial Cave. It was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao, the God Burying race is located in the center of the God Burying Cave. They are different from the Death race. They are zombies that descended from the divine world. They chose the God Burying Cave as their resting place to absorb the heaven burial chi. But from my observations, I can see that the divine Tao laws of God Burial Cave have gathered together, forming a mystic realm that is similar to a small divine world. If we can go there, then with the laws of this small divine world, the three of us will be able to confirm our Tao and become gods. Li Chuanfeng's eyes were filled with anticipation. You speak of a small divine world. The god-burying race has been here for 1,000,000 years, but they still haven't discovered it? Ling Xiao asked, puzzled. As the saying goes, it's dark under the light. The god-burying race thinks that they have occupied the core of the god burial cave, and can absorb the heaven burial chi and the chaotic laws. However, they don't know that the purest divine Tao laws have already formed a mystic realm that they can't discover. Li Chunfeng smiled confidently. In terms of the Tao of Feng Shui, the Feng Shui family was one of the best even in the divine world when it came to Longguan Mountain. Moreover, in Li Chuanfeng's opinion, the god-burying race was a bunch of idiots. They only had muscles and divine strength. All right. Let's go to the small divine world that you spoke of. Ling Zhao's eyes were also filled with anticipation. Swoosh. Swoosh. The three of them flew towards the god burial cave. The three of them used powerful techniques to conceal their auras, and entered the god burial cave silently. Streams of divine strength gushed out, and the light was dazzling. It seemed to distort the void and formed a mysterious aurora. In the god burial cave, it was as though they didn't know where they were. They were surrounded by dazzling divine light. Although it was beautiful, it contained unimaginable traps and dangers. The three of them passed through one divine cave after another. In the end, they stopped in front of an extremely inconspicuous divine cave. This god cave was only a few hundred feet wide. It was almost negligible compared to other god caves that were tens of thousands of feet wide. However, when they arrived in front of this small god cave, Li Chuanfeng's eyes were filled with excitement. This is the entrance. Let's go down. Li Chuanfeng's eyes flashed. He immediately formed a seal with both hands. Mysterious runes spread out. Dazzling divine light gushed out from the divine cavern, and enveloped the three of them in an instant. Then they slowly descended. Rumble. The surroundings were filled with resplendent light, as though they were in a distorted void tunnel. As Li Chunfeng muttered incantations, his hands continuously formed seals, and Ling Xiao felt as though the earth around them was trembling. Their speed became extremely fast, and they rapidly sank downwards. Boom. There was an explosion of dazzling light, and the three of them arrived in a mysterious space. This is the small god world that you mentioned? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he looked around and said slowly. The space looked boundless as though it was a vast starry sky with no end in sight. In front of the three of them were dazzling balls of light that looked like stars. Darkness enveloped everything. If it wasn't for the dazzling balls of light, Ling Xiao would have thought that they had arrived in the starry sky. The dazzling balls of light varied in size. The big ones were as hot as the sun while the small ones were like fireflies. However, the balls of light exuded an extremely pure divine path aura. That's right. Ling Xiao, this is the small god world. It only has the most basic divine path order. This is also the most suitable place for you to achieve the divine spirit realm. Li Chunfeng looked at the balls of light around him, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Buzz. As though to prove his words, his body flashed and divine power gushed out. It turned into a dazzling devouring vortex, and instantly devoured a ball of light the size of a fist. Rumble. Li Chuanfeng's body glowed and his divine power rose. It contained an extremely vast and mysterious power. His aura began to grow. P.S. There will be no more updates today. Everyone, rest early. See you tomorrow. Chapter 1125. Ling Zhao's eyes glittered. Never could he have guessed that those spheres of light would actually contain pure magical laws of the Tao of Gods. Ling Zhao's god power had already reached the pinnacle. He cultivated the heaven-devouring secret magic, and had already reached the level of the King Heaven-Devourer Cauldron. As long as the cauldron became a heaven-devouring god sea, he would be able to corroborate his Tao and reach godly ascension. Previously, he had only been absorbing the spirit energy of heaven and earth, or even pure yang spirit energy, but that hadn't been enough. He needed to use the magical laws of the Tao of Gods to refine his god power. Ling Xiao now understood why Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji's cultivation bases had advanced so quickly. It was because of this minor god world. Without any further hesitation, Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged and began working on the heaven-devouring secret magic. Back on Kunwu God Mountain, the emperor had told Ling Xiao to create a clone before he corroborated his Tao and reached godly ascension. That way, he could sever his connection to the wordless heavenly tome. Although the wordless heavenly tome contained miraculous power, it was also an inauspicious item. Therefore, the emperor had told Ling Xiao not to rely on it too much. Ling Xiao had originally planned to use the essence devil bone to create a clone, but unfortunately, it was too powerful. Even with the wordless heavenly tome, it wasn't something he could assimilate. Thankfully, the wordless heavenly tome was in Jin Sei's body, intertwined with the seven souls scatter soul, and temporarily severed its connection to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was planning to use this opportunity to reach the level of 3 gods. As for what the emperor had said about the wordless heavenly tome being an inauspicious item, Ling Xiao didn't take it to heart. As far as he was concerned, it was nothing more than a treasure. Although it had helped him a lot, he didn't rely on it too much. As far as Ling Xiao was concerned, personal strength was the most important thing. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled, and the void rippled as Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in a world of darkness, surrounded by dazzling spheres of light that resembled stars. Drawing on his heaven-devouring secret magic, he summoned the King Heaven-Devourer cauldron above his head, pulsing with ancient and mysterious fluctuations as it transformed into a vortex that began to devour the God Tao magical laws. Ling Xiao discovered that even though there were divine Tao laws in the balls of light, there was also a trace of heaven burial qi mixed within. Thus, even Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji would extract the heaven burial qi from the balls of light before devouring the divine Tao laws within. However, Ling Xiao did not have such concerns. Before his heaven-devouring secret technique, both the laws of God and heaven's burial qi were refined and turned into the purest origin divine force that fused into his body. Zhou Tian's body glowed. His body was dazzling. The divine power in his body surged and intertwined like a great river, flowing continuously. Every time it flowed, it would refine a large amount of divine Tao laws, causing the power in his body to become even more majestic. Rumble. The King Heaven-Devourer cauldron trembled violently, as though it were undergoing some sort of transformation. The god power within it seethed as though it might explode at any moment. The King Heaven-Devourer cauldron grew more and more corporeal, with primal chaos mist swirling within it and dazzling lightning crackling. It was almost as though heaven and earth were being created. As of this moment, the King Heaven-Devourer cauldron was giving birth to a mysterious world. Boundless god power poured into the King Heaven-Devourer cauldron, causing soaring heaven's aura to grow stronger and stronger. The light around Ling Xiao became more and more resplendent. His body seemed to become more and more powerful under the stimulation of the laws of God. The figures of the 4 divine beasts appeared behind him. A 30,000-meter-long golden dragon roared, pulsing with unparalleled godly might. A 5-colored phoenix pulsed with intense flames that seemed capable of igniting all heaven and earth. An enormous white tiger rose up in a sea of god power, roaring with heaven-destroying, earth-extinguishing might. The Xuanwu turtle was like a vast continent floating in primal chaos, its 4 limbs spreading out to give birth to powerful living beings. As his mastery of the heaven-devouring secret technique improved by leaps and bounds, Ling Xiao actually gained a kind of enlightenment. The essence of the 4 secret techniques became clearer and clearer. His understanding of the 4 elephants' heaven-striking style also began to reach perfection. As Ling Xiao cultivated in this minor god world, his aura grew stronger and stronger, and the King Heaven-Devourer cauldron began transforming into a heaven-devouring god sea. Time passed by slowly. The war god continent was in a state of upheaval. Back when Ling Xiao destroyed the war god temple and revealed his identity as Paragon Heaven-Devourer, it had shaken the entire war god continent. Many of the Holy Lands had been forced to seal their mountains for fear that Ling Xiao would come knocking on their door. At the same time, Ling Xiao had revealed that the outsider heaven devils would soon be out in the open, and would be led by a devil god king to invade the war god continent. Many of the holy lands of the Tao of martial arts viewed Ling Xiao and the House of Longevity as their savior, and hoped that Ling Xiao would be able to slaughter the outsider heaven devils and save the millions upon millions of living beings on the war god world. Originally, many of the Holy Lands thought that the House of Longevity would come out in force and unite the Holy Lands to fight against the outsider heaven devils. What they didn't expect was that Ling Xiao and Chongsun men seemed to have disappeared during this period of time. Many people began to panic, wondering if Ling Xiao had given up on the war god continent. At the same time, powerful beings emerged from the 8 great forbidden lands one after another. The Emperor Tomb Mountain, Nantian clan, and Astral Palace announced that they had pledged allegiance to the god-burying race of the God Burial Cave. The heavenly human tribe of the Cosmos River appeared. The Kunlun Mountain and Black Heaven sect pledged allegiance to the heavenly human tribe. The 7 Emotions and 6 Desires demon sect and many other demonic sects pledged allegiance to the Sorcerer tribe. The emergence of the beings from the Forbidden Lands shocked the entire war god continent. The beings from the Forbidden Lands were all terrifyingly strong, and almost all of them were god spirit experts. They were invincible and could dominate the world. Apart from a few of the Holy Lands, most of the experts from the Holy Lands had pledged allegiance to the terrifying beings from the Forbidden Lands. With so many god spirits emerging, some people even thought that Ling Xiao was afraid of the beings from the Forbidden Lands. That was why he had brought the House of Longevity to hide. Following that, something happened that verified everyone's guess. The Heavenly King of the Celestial Race issued a decree, saying that Ling Xiao had killed 2 of the Celestial Race's experts and deserved to die. He offered a god-tier martial art and divine weapon as a reward for news of Ling Xiao and the House of Longevity. Ling Xiao and the House of Longevity are finished. That's right. I thought that Ling Xiao had destroyed the War God Temple, killed the Supreme True Dragon, and became the most powerful person on the war god continent. However, I didn't expect there to be so many god spirit experts in the Forbidden Lands. I think Ling Xiao deserves it. Who asked him to offend the Heavenly King of the Celestial Race? However, with so many god spirit experts in the Forbidden Lands, they will definitely be able to kill all the outsider heaven devils and save our war god temple. Everyone discussed fervently. Some of them were even hostile towards Ling Xiao and the House of Longevity and slandered them with ulterior motives. Chapter 11:26. With the orders of the Celestial King, many experts from the Holy Lands were eager to make a move and began searching for Luo Changmen and Ling Xiao. However, after 1 year, 2 years, the Longevity Gate and Ling Xiao seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No one could find them. The 8 Wilds region had been taken over by the heavenly humans. The war god continent was in a state of turmoil, as though a tempest were brewing. By this point, Ling Xiao had been in seclusion in the minor god world for 3 years. During those 3 years, he had devoured more than half of the god Tao magical laws in the minor god world. And the glowing light in the area had grown sparse, as though it might be extinguished at any moment. And the sea of god power in the Heaven Devourer cauldron was almost full. Ryuambul. Ling Xiao pulsed with a terrifying aura, causing primal chaos to swirl around him. Heaven and earth trembled violently as dazzling godlight filled the area. The Heaven Devourer cauldron was covered with ancient magical symbols that seemed to contain the supreme truths of heaven and earth. Ling Xiao seemed to be surrounded by a mysterious aura. The aura on Ling Xiao's body grew stronger and stronger. It was terrifying beyond compare. It contained an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation. When the aura on his body rose to its peak, rumble, the Heaven Devourer cauldron exploded. It was as though heaven and earth had been cleaved apart as a terrifying aura filled the area. Boundless primal chaos mist filled the area. And the world of darkness around Ling Xiao was suddenly filled with dazzling light. Strands of mist rose into the air. Divine energy was vast like an ocean, and it emitted a crystalline and gorgeous radiance. It transformed into a vast devouring vortex. The void was trembling violently as if it was about to collapse. Rumble. A vast ocean of divine power formed behind Ling Xiao. It was vast and boundless, thousands of miles long. It transformed into a vast devouring vortex. Bolts of blazing lightning descended from the vast sky. They were dazzling and as thick as a mountain range. They contained an incomparably terrifying power. As of this moment, the Heaven Devourer secret art broke through. The Heaven Devourer cauldron was now a Heaven Devourer God Sea. Whether it was in his previous life or this life, the Heaven Devouring secret technique was Ling Zhao's most fundamental secret technique. Therefore, Ling Zhao's understanding of the Heaven Devouring secret technique was also the deepest. Therefore, when Ling Zhao condensed the heaven-engulfing divine ocean, he naturally used the divine power nomological laws to prove his Tao and become a god. The vast divine tribulation descended. Heaven and earth trembled violently, as if the void was about to shatter. Ling Zhao had achieved the dual god realm, which was even more heaven-defying and terrifying than the mortal god realm. Therefore, the god tribulation this time was also incomparably terrifying. Especially since Ling Zhao had achieved the double god realm in the mortal world, it made the heavenly Tao even more furious. Right now, Ling Zhao was in existence that could endanger the life of the war god realm. Hence, the sky laws of the entire war god realm enveloped Ling Zhao, wanting to destroy him completely. Ling Zhao's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at the vast sky. The resplendent sea of lightning rose up and intertwined with each other. It was as though a few mysterious figures had appeared within the sea of lightning. Rumble. The void rumbled, and in an instant, tens of thousands of lightning bolts descended on Ling Zhao. Every single lightning bolt contained the power of a divine spirit realm expert. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts descended, as though they wanted to destroy everything. Good timing. Ling Zhao's eyes gleamed with sharpness. He did not dodge, because he knew that even if he did, it would be useless. This god tribulation could only be endured by him alone. Only by going through the tempering of the god tribulation would he be able to complete the divine power nomological laws and achieve the dual god realm. Rumble. His fist soared into the sky, and the golden fist imprint contained an incomparably terrifying power. The terrifying lightning bolts were shattered by him, turning into the purest lightning energy. Then, they were devoured by the heaven-engulfing divine ocean behind him. Ling Zhao spread out his arms, and the heaven-engulfing divine ocean behind him surged towards the tier sea in the 9 heavens, as though it wanted to refine the entire sea of lightning. At this moment, Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji had also awoken from their cultivation state. Both of their cultivations were on the verge of a breakthrough. If they were not disturbed by Ling Zhao's god tribulation, they would have been able to attain the Tao and become gods. However, at this moment, they had awoken from their cultivation state. Looking at the scene before them, their eyes were filled with disbelief. It was too terrifying. Just the pressure of the terrifying lightning was enough to make their hearts tremble. They felt that if the two of them were to face such a god tribulation, they would have been turned into ashes in an instant. There was no doubt about it. Is this the god tribulation of the dual god realm? It's too terrifying. Li Chuanfeng's voice was trembling slightly, and his eyes were filled with shock. In the divine world, those who can attain the divine body realm are already 1 in 10,000 geniuses. Those who can attain the dual god realm are even rarer. As for those who have attained the triple god realm, even in the entire divine world, they are considered peerless geniuses. Perhaps, we are witnessing the birth of a great existence. Mu Tianji's eyes were filled with excitement as he spoke slowly. Attaining the triple god realm in the mortal world was more than 1,000 times harder than attaining it in the divine world. Hence, this strengthened their belief that Ling Zhao would definitely grow into a great existence in the future. However, could Ling Zhao really survive such a terrifying god tribulation? Boom. The sea of lightning in the sky seemed to be raging at this moment. Ling Zhao actually wanted to use the heaven-devouring sea to completely devour the god tribulation sea. This was an unquestionable provocation to the heavenly Tao. It was just like how ordinary people wanted to rebel and despise the imperial power. Even the kings of the mortal world could not tolerate the rebellion of their own people. How could the heavenly Tao tolerate Ling Zhao's provocation? Hence, the sea of lightning burned even more fiercely. A mysterious aura filled the air, and a few terrifying figures walked out from the sea of lightning. These few figures were shrouded in the dazzling lightning, and their faces could not be seen clearly. However, Each of them exuded an invincible aura that could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The 9 Supremes Emperors? A sharp glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, revealing an incomparably solemn expression. These 9 Supremes Emperors had appeared in the terrifying God Tribulation, when Ling Xiao had condensed the Celestial Emperor's Dharma form with 108 divine powers. That battle had caused the sky to darken, and the sun and moon to dim. Ling Xiao was almost completely annihilated by the 9 Supremes Emperors. In the end, Ling Xiao had survived the God Tribulation with great difficulty. How could Ling Xiao not recognize these 9 figures? They were the 9 mysterious Supremes Emperors that he had met before. However, the 9 Supremes Emperors in front of him were obviously much more solid than before. Their strength was more than 10 times or even 100 times stronger. Just one figure alone was enough to make Ling Xiao feel a terrifying pressure, let alone the 9 Supremes Emperors. Chapter 1127. Ling Xiao's physical body had achieved immortalhood, and his recovery abilities were extremely strong. As long as his injuries were not fatal, he could recover in an instant. As for the devouring divine ocean that he had condensed, it was constantly merging with the sea of energy in the universe, constantly devouring the boundless spiritual energy in the void to nourish his body. It could be said that he had relied on his physical body to achieve immortalhood, the insane recovery abilities of the divine dragon body, and the power of the devouring divine ocean to sustain himself for so long. Boom boom boom. Bolts of lightning were blinding, and the thunder tribulations were terrifying beyond compare. The battle between Ling Xiao and the 9 Emperors seemed to have pierced through the world and destroyed chaos. It was extremely terrifying. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, who were hiding in the distance, were completely dumbfounded. Who are those 9 figures? Could they be the ancient heavenly emperors? This is too terrifying. To be able to fight against the imprints of the 9 heavenly emperors to such an extent, Ling Xiao's potential is practically limitless. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji were trembling from head to toe, their eyes filled with shock and agitation. The reason why they had guessed that the 9 figures were the ancient heavenly emperors was because the emperor's aura that emanated from the 9 figures was too terrifying. Even a divine spirit cultivator would have to submit in the face of that aura. It was an invincible aura that could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and suppress all 8 directions. Only the strongest cultivator of an era, the eternal and immortal heavenly emperors, could have such an aura and energy wave. If Ling Xiao can achieve the 3 gods stage, so what if the strongest cultivators from the realm of the gods descend? Looks like it won't be long before we return to the realm of the gods. Li Chunfeng took in a deep breath, his eyes filled with hope. The Fengshui family in Muwang City had been exiled for 1,000,000 years. They had broken the curse on their bloodline and discovered their origins. Naturally, they wanted to return to the realm of the gods. Only by returning to the realm of the gods would they be able to climb to the peak of the martial way, and only then would they have the hope of revenge. Suppressing their 2 families 1,000,000 years ago and planting a curse on their bloodline, that person wanted to wipe them all out. In the past 1,000,000 years, countless ancestors of the Fengshui family in Muwang City had tried to break the curse on their bloodline and discover their origins. Countless ancestors had died tragically, and this blood feud had been pinned on that mysterious existence. Sooner or later, they were going to take it back from them personally. Boom boom boom. The small god realm started to shake violently. At the start, it was supported by the boundless God Tao laws, causing the small god realm to be incomparably sturdy. But by the time Ling Xiao had refined all the God Tao laws and triggered the God Tribulation, the small god realm was starting to crumble. By now, the battle between Ling Xiao and the 9 Thearchs was too terrifying. Instantly, the small god realm started to break apart. Crack. The void shattered as boundless void turbulence surged. Ling Xiao, Li Chunfeng, and Mu Tianji were all repelled by the God Burial Cave, and were instantly teleported out of it. The lightning in the 9 heavens was getting more and more intense. Boom boom. Lightning poured down from the 9 heavens like water, like a waterfall. Each bolt of lightning was as thick as a mountain range, becoming incomparably terrifying. Ling Xiao and the 9 Thearchs were shrouded in boundless lightning bolts as they fought. The terrifying shockwaves from their battle shook the entire God Burial Cave. Not good. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji shuddered as a grim look appeared in their eyes. God Burial Cave was the territory of the buried god tribe. Previously, they had been cultivating in the small god realm, and the buried god tribe had not discovered them yet. But now that the small god realm had shattered and Ling Zhao's tribulation was so terrifying, the buried god tribe would definitely discover them soon. Whoosh! Just as Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji had expected, just as this thought flashed through their minds, godly rays of light shot out from afar. Following that, a series of powerful figures appeared in the sky. Black godly rays of light shone as the heaven burial chi surged. The entire god cave looked as though it was about to split open. The figures shrouded in black robes moved at an incredible speed and appeared before Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji almost instantaneously. The one in the lead was a black-robed young man with a jade-like complexion. He was extremely handsome and had a slender body. However, his face was pale and devoid of blood. His eyes were filled with a demonic glow. He stood in the sky with an incomparably terrifying aura. A powerful godly aura emanated from him, causing Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji to shudder. This black-robed young man was an immortal as well. Behind the black-robed young man, there were two old men with hunched backs. Their faces were like tree bark and their sunken eye sockets seemed as though there was a ghostly fire burning within them. Those two old men were immortals as well. Other than that, Mu Tianji's eyes flashed as he caught sight of a familiar face from the Emperor Tomb Mountain. Even though the master of the Emperor Tomb Mountain and the patriarch of the Emperor Tomb Mountain were both dead, the status of this middle-aged man before him was no less than the patriarch of the Emperor Tomb Mountain. The middle-aged man's aura was extremely strong. He was already at the titled Supreme Realm. He looked like an immortal with an ethereal aura. His gaze was deep and calm, completely different from that sinister fella from the Emperor Tomb Mountain. However, Mu Tianji knew that this middle-aged man was the lover of the Emperor Tomb Mountain's patriarch, Old Taoist Mingyu. When Old Taoist Mingyu saw Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, his eyes were filled with shock. He said calmly, "So it's Master Mu and Master Li. How dare you come to the God Burial Cave? If I'm not wrong, the person going through the lightning tribulation in the void should be Ling Zhao, right?" Old Taoist Mingyu looked at Ling Zhao's figure in the void with a hint of fear in his eyes. Previously, there were rumors that Ling Zhao had already proven his Tao and become a god. However, those were probably just rumors. Now was probably the time for Ling Zhao to prove his Tao and become a god. That's right. It's Lord Ling Zhao. If you guys don't want to die, leave this place immediately. Otherwise, once Lord Ling Zhao passes his god's tribulation, it'll be hard to say if he'll fly into a rage upon seeing you guys. Mu Tianji looked calmly at Old Taoist Mingyu and said, "Rumble." Up in the void, Ling Zhao and the 9 emperors were completely enveloped by the lightning tribulation. Even Old Taoist Mingyu and the rest did not notice the 9 emperors. They could only instinctively sense that the aura within the lightning tribulation was extremely terrifying, causing them to tremble in fear. Especially the demonic young man. His eyes shone with a sharp gleam as he revealed a look of surprise. "Ling Zhao? The gates of the realm of gods have yet to open, and he's already proven his Tao and become a god. He's really talented. If he's willing to pledge his allegiance to me later, I might spare his life." The demonic young man mumbled to himself. Old Taoist Mingyu smiled and said, "It's Ling Zhao's fortune to be able to become young Master Zongxian's servant. However, young master, you must be careful. I heard that Ling Zhao is extremely powerful and should not be underestimated. In this God Burial Cave, if he doesn't wish to be killed by the patriarch, he can only pledge his allegiance to me. Otherwise, even if I let him go, the patriarch will not spare his life." Chapter 11:28. Rumble. Amidst the flashes of lightning, the heavens and earth trembled. Chaotic fog swirled around as the 9 emperors stood at the peak of the firmament, exuding an undefeatable aura. Although their faces could not be seen clearly, their eyes seemed to be able to pierce through the river of time, breaking through the fog of time. They descended from the endless void, causing Ling Zhao to tremble all over. Ling Xiao didn't know why such a terrifying figure would appear when he was merely undergoing the god's tribulation. He guessed that the 9 emperors were peerless figures who had dominated the universe during the ancient times. Even the heavens and earth could not erase their will, leaving their mark in the thunder tribulation. The heavenly Dao lightning tribulation had created their imprints in order to completely exterminate Ling Xiao. At the same time, Ling Xiao was a little confused. When his physical body became a god, although there was a god's tribulation, it didn't seem to be this terrifying. Could it be that when he reached the 3 gods' realm, the divine tribulation would be even more terrifying? Ling Xiao guessed in his heart, but he could not find the reason. At this moment, the 9 Supremes Emperors were already charging towards the clouds. Boom! A great emperor raised his fist and punched out. The terrifying fist covered the sky, containing an invincible power, as if it wanted to crush everything into dust. Then let's fight! Ling Xiao's eyes were blazing with battle intent. The appearance of the 9 Supremes Great Emperors had stimulated the strong battle intent in his heart, causing his aura to rise. Suddenly he punched towards the void. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens as heaven and earth trembled violently. Ling Xiao's body was wrapped in blazing golden light, and he was like a peerless divine dragon that could traverse the 9 heavens. His fist imprint was unparalleled, and it suddenly collided with the fist imprint of the great emperor. Bang! The heavens and earth trembled violently, and the void shook. Ling Xiao felt that the vast fist will seem to be able to turn the entire universe into nothingness. Ling Xiao's figure flew back, but the great emperor's figure didn't even sway. Ling Xiao could feel that the great emperor's strength wasn't very strong. In fact, it was even weaker than him. However, that invincible fist intent seemed to encompass the entire universe and contain the power of life and death. With a single punch, anything would be reduced to dust. Whoosh! Before Ling Xiao could even stabilize himself, a dazzling sword ray shot through the sky. It was vast and mighty like the Milky Way spreading out, containing an eternal and indestructible sword intent. It was an emperor whose eyes were like swords. Sword intent soared around him, and he seemed to have turned into a divine sword light that could split the world apart. He contained extremely vast and terrifying power. Clang! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as he raised his arms. The vast heaven-swallowing divine sea behind him surged, and turned into a giant heaven-swallowing divine sword, slashing down at the great monarch. Crack! The heaven-devouring divine sword, which was formed by the heaven-devouring divine sea, was incomparably vast. However, when it collided with the sword light, it did not have the slightest bit of resistance, and was instantly slashed apart. A storm of sword energy mixed with divine light swept out in all directions. In the end, the sword light slashed onto Ling Xiao's chest. Wang! Ling Xiao's body exuded a dazzling light, and his body was crystal clear and resplendent. In the end, although he managed to block the power of the sword light, he felt as though he had been struck by lightning. He suddenly flew back and spat out a mouthful of blood. In just 2 moves, Ling Xiao was already injured. However, an even greater danger had arrived. The 9 great monarchs seemed to be the embodiment of heaven's will. They were bent on killing Ling Xiao. The 9 great monarchs did not know how to fight one-on-one, and they actually charged towards Ling Xiao at the same time. The dazzling sword light, the Big Dipper divine staff that could destroy everything, the Fangtian halberd that could destroy heaven and earth, and the boundless sea of fire that could burn heaven and earth. Every great emperor seemed to possess an incomparably terrifying power. That kind of realm was far beyond the current Ling Xiao. Although the strength of the 9 great emperors might not be as strong as Ling Xiao, their martial arts seemed to contain endless spirituality. Every move was natural, making it impossible for others to block or even dodge. Rumble! Ling Xiao was completely in danger. Golden light blazed around him, and golden divine dragons circled around him. The 1,000 dragons' god-slaying skill was boundless, and the 4 elephants' sky-striking style could break through the chaos. In addition, his devouring deity Sea could devour all energy fluctuations. It was extremely terrifying. However, he was still suppressed by the 9 great monarchs. Poof! Ling Xiao was sent flying by a punch, and a fist mark appeared on his chest. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Swoosh! A sword ray slashed down from the sky, Even though Ling Zhao's body was extremely strong and tough, it still left a long bloody mark on his body, almost splitting him in half. Ling Zhao was still persevering and resisting. His gaze grew brighter, and his heart was incomparably calm. He seemed to have fallen into an extremely mysterious state. Under the joint attack of the 9 great monarchs, Ling Zhao's potential seemed to have been completely stimulated. He began to comprehend the martial arts of the 9 great monarchs, especially the boundless and invincible will. The invincible fist will, the sword will that could destroy 10,000 worlds, the fire will that could burn all living things. Ling Zhao began to comprehend the martial arts of the 9 great monarchs, and then integrated them into his own martial arts system. In Ling Zhao's previous life, his highest cultivation base was only the supreme titled realm. In this life, he had surpassed the peak of his previous life, and even reached the realm of 2 gods. Even in the realm of gods, he was considered a peerless genius. However, Ling Zhao was still not satisfied. His previous life's accumulation had been exhausted. If he wanted to continue to advance by leaps and bounds, he had to accumulate even more. Especially his understanding of the power of divine Tao, which was his weakness now. He had never been to the realm of gods, and only had a smattering of understanding of the divine Tao. Although Ling Zhao had killed many demon gods, most of them had been suppressed for 1,000,000 years, and their cultivation base had been reduced to nothing. They did not have full combat strength, and Ling Zhao could only rely on his killer moves to kill them. However, the battle with the 9 great monarchs made Ling Zhao feel that this was a great opportunity, and an unimaginable one at that. The 9 great monarchs' supreme will, their battle style, and their understanding of divine Tao had given Ling Zhao a deep understanding and enlightenment. It could be said that the longer Ling Zhao lasted in the hands of the 9 great monarchs, the more benefits he would gain. However, if it had been an ordinary person, they would have died in the hands of the 9 great monarchs before they could even gain any benefits. After all, to be able to survive the joint attack of the 9 great monarchs was not something an ordinary person could do. Ling Zhao was also severely injured. He was covered in blood, and his breathing had become extremely weak. His face was pale, and the corners of his mouth were stained with blood. Under the attack of the 9 great monarchs, he had suffered the most powerless battle of his life. Chapter 1129. Ling Zhao's physical body had become a god, and his body's regenerative ability was extremely strong. As long as it wasn't a fatal injury, he would be able to recover in an instant. The heaven-devouring divine sea that he had condensed was constantly fusing with the vital qi sea of the myriad worlds, constantly devouring the endless spiritual qi in the void to nourish himself. It could be said that he had relied on his physical body to become a god, the regenerative ability of the divine dragon body, and the power of the devouring god sea to hold on for so long. Rumble. Bolts of lightning flashed, and the lightning tribulation was extremely terrifying. The battle between Ling Zhao and the 9 god emperors seemed to have broken through the world and destroyed the chaos. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, who were hiding in the distance, were completely dumbfounded. Who exactly are those 9 figures? Could they be the ancient heavenly emperors? Too terrifying. To be able to fight against the seals of the 9 heavenly emperors to such an extent. Ling Zhao's potential is limitless. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji trembled slightly, and their eyes were filled with shock and excitement. The reason why they guessed that the 9 figures were the ancient heavenly emperors was because the emperor's aura that they exuded was too terrifying. Even a godly expert would have to bow down in front of such an aura. It was an aura that could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and suppress the 6 directions of the universe. Only the strongest expert of an era, the eternal heavenly emperors who could suppress gods, could have such an aura and presence. If Ling Zhao can reach the 3 gods' realm, so what if the experts of the divine world come? It seems like it won't be long before we return to the divine world. Li Chunfeng took in a deep breath, and his eyes were filled with hope. The Feng Shui family and Tomb King City were exiled 1,000,000 years ago. After breaking the curse on their bloodline and understanding their origins, they naturally wanted to return to the divine world. Only by returning to the divine world would they be able to climb to the peak of the martial Tao, and there would be hope for revenge. suppressing them 1,000,000 years ago and planting a curse on their bloodline. They were trying to exterminate them. 1,000,000 years ago, countless ancestors of the Feng Shui family and Tomb King City had tried to break the curse on their bloodline and find out their origins. Countless ancestors had died tragically, and this blood feud was pinned on that mysterious existence. Sooner or later, they would find them personally to take it back. Rumble. The minor god world began to tremble violently. In the beginning, it was supported by boundless laws of the divine Tao, making it incomparably sturdy. However, when Ling Xiao refined all of the divine Tao laws and triggered the divine tribulation, this small divine world was unable to bear the burden. At this point, the battle between Ling Xiao and the 9 emperors was so terrifying that the minor god world began to shatter. Crack! The void shattered as boundless chaotic space currents gushed forth. Ling Xiao, Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji were all rejected by the God Burial Cave, as they were instantly teleported out of the God Burial Cave. The lightning above the 9th heaven became more and more dazzling. Rumble. The lightning poured down from the 9 heavens like a waterfall. The bolts of lightning were as thick as mountains. It was extremely terrifying. The figures of Ling Xiao and the 9 thearchs were enveloped in boundless lightning as they battled. That terrifying shockwave also shook the entire God Burial Cave. Not good. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji's bodies trembled as a trace of seriousness appeared in their eyes. The God Burial Cave was the territory of the God Burial tribe. Previously, when they were cultivating in the minor god world, the God Burial tribe was unable to discover them. However, now that the minor god world was shattered and Ling Xiao's divine tribulation was so terrifying, the God Burial tribe would soon discover them. So, indeed, just as Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji had expected, just as this thought flashed through their minds, divine light shot out from the distance as powerful figures appeared in the sky. Black divine light surged as the heaven burial chi surged. The entire God Burial Cave seemed to have split open as numerous figures clad in black robes appeared in front of Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji with extreme speed. The person in the lead was a handsome young man clad in black robes. He was extremely handsome and had a slender figure. However, his face was pale without a trace of blood, and his eyes were filled with a demonic light. He stood in the void as his aura was incomparably terrifying. A powerful divine aura spread out, causing Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji to tremble. This black-robed young man was actually a god spirit. Behind the black-robed young man were 2 stooped old men. Their faces were like tree bark, and within their sunken eye sockets, there seemed to be ghost fire surging. The 2 old men were also god spirits. Other than that, Mu Tianji's eyes flashed sharply as he saw an old acquaintance of the Emperor Tomb Mountain. Although the Emperor Tomb Mountain Lord and Emperor Tomb Old Ancestor were both dead, the middle-aged man in front of him was in no way inferior to the Emperor Tomb Old Ancestor. The middle-aged man's aura was very strong, and he was already a titled supremacy. He looked like an immortal with an ethereal temperament. His gaze was deep and indifferent, completely different from the sinister fellow in the Emperor Tomb Mountain. However, Mu Tianji knew that this middle-aged man was the lover of the Emperor Tomb Old Ancestor, Old Taoist Mingyu. Old Taoist Mingyu also saw Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, and a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. He said indifferently, "So it's Master Mu and Master Li. You actually dare to come to the God Burial Cave? If this poor Taoist guess isn't wrong, the person undergoing the lightning tribulation in the sky should be Ling Xiao, right?" Old Taoist Mingyu looked at Ling Xiao's figure in the sky, and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Previously, there were people who said that Ling Xiao had already verified his Tao and become a god. Those were probably just rumors. Now was probably the time for Ling Xiao to verify his Tao and become a god. That's right. It's Lord Ling Xiao. If you don't want to die, you'd better leave this place quickly. Otherwise, when Lord Ling Xiao completes his god tribulation and sees you guys, it's hard to say if he'll fly into a rage. Mu Tianji looked indifferently at old Taoist Mingyu and said, "Rumble." In the sky, the figures of Ling Xiao and the 9 emperors were completely enveloped by the sea of lightning. Even old Taoist Mingyu and the others couldn't discover the figures of the 9 emperors. They could only instinctively feel that the aura of the sea of lightning was extremely terrifying, causing them to tremble in fear. This was especially so for that devilish-looking youth. His eyes shone with a sharp light as he revealed a trace of surprise. Ling Xiao, is it? The door to the god world hasn't opened yet, and he's already able to verify his Tao and become a god. His talent is indeed not bad. If he's willing to submit to this young master, perhaps I can spare his life. The devilish-looking youth muttered to himself. Old Taoist Mingyu smiled lightly and said, "It's Ling Xiao's fortune to be able to become young master Zongxian's servant. However, young master must be careful. It's said that Ling Xiao's combat strength is extremely strong and cannot be underestimated. In this god burial cave, if he doesn't want to be killed by the old ancestor, he can only submit to this young master obediently. Otherwise, even if this young master releases him, the old ancestor won't let him live." Chapter 1130. The old ancestor has come out of seclusion? If that's the case, Ling Xiao will die without a doubt if he dares to disobey. Mingyu's eyes revealed a trace of surprise as he spoke respectfully. The old ancestor of the god-burying clan was extremely powerful and terrifying. He had killed countless extraterrestrial demons 1,000,000 years ago, and had been in seclusion to recuperate for the past 1,000,000 years. If the old ancestor came out of seclusion, it meant that his injuries had healed. If Ling Xiao dared to disobey, then he could just kill him. After Ling Xiao killed the Lord of Emperor Tomb Mountain, and the old ancestor of Emperor Tomb, Mingyu might look calm on the surface, but in his heart, he couldn't wait to kill Ling Xiao. The old ancestor of the god-burying clan was a peerless expert of the same era as the heavenly king of the heavenly human clan. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji's expression changed. They also knew that the old ancestor of the god-burying clan, Zhang Su, was said to be able to bury the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao had passed the supreme being tribulation, but he was only in the divine spirit realm. Against a peerless expert like Zhang Su, his chances of winning were slim. The two of you are from the Feng Shui family in Tomb Monarch City? I didn't expect that not only did your clan survive, you even managed to break the curse of your bloodline? Sinners are sinners. Now I'll give you a chance. Submit to this young master and atone for your sins. This young master will spare your lives." Zhang Xian looked at Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji with a trace of surprise in his eyes. He spoke in a condescending tone, like a divine dragon looking down on ants. In Zhang Xian's opinion, the Feng Shui family and Tomb Monarch City deserved to die. They should be grateful that he gave them a chance to live. Submit to you? Who do you think you are? Even if you're the old ancestor of the god-burying clan, you think you're worthy of us submitting to you? Li Chunfeng sneered with a trace of arrogance in his eyes. After knowing the origin of the Feng Shui family, he also knew that in the divine world, when the Feng Shui family was at its peak, even sages didn't dare to be presumptuous. How could a mere god-burying clan make him submit to them? Li Chunfeng was the head of the Feng Shui family. If he returned to the divine world, he would be the head of the Feng Shui family. Naturally, he had his own pride. Although Mu Tianji did not say anything, the mockery in his eyes was obvious. Obviously, he also felt that Zhang Xian was not worthy of them submitting to him. Zhang Xian's face instantly darkened. The Feng Shui family and Tomb Monarch City are sinners of the divine world, and should have been exterminated. This young master, I gave you a chance. Since that's the case, then all of you can die. Kill them. Zhang Xian said coldly as a cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. So Feng Shui to him. Even if they had a glorious past, they were now nothing more than a bunch of ants. To Zhang of Zhang Xian's too. The heavens and earth trembled as the two aged figures exuded an exceedingly eerie aura. They were like ghost kings from the 9 nether hells, cold and dark, exuding an eerie ghostly aura. Their withered hands were akin to ghost claws, grabbing towards Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji respectively. Stop them. Once Lord Ling Xiao succeeds in his tribulation, they will all die. Li Chunfeng's expression changed slightly as he said with a solemn expression. He stomped his foot, causing the ground to rumble and the void to tremble. Streaks of qi of heaven and earth surged out, mixing with the blazing divine light, and shooting into the sky. Li Chunfeng's body turned blurry in an instant. The surrounding mountains trembled. as if they had turned into numerous earth dragons, violently shaking. The chi of heaven and earth and the resplendent divine light were hazy in all directions, blurring everything and making it impossible to see. The power of a feng shui family is indeed extraordinary. It's a pity that they are still too weak. Zhang Xian looked at them in surprise. However, he didn't make a move. Li Chunfeng used the power of the earth dragon vein to set up a vast feng shui killing array. It instantly enveloped the two old men. Mu Tianji's eyes flashed. He formed a seal with both hands. Streams of black light shot into the feng shui killing array. They contained terrifying energy waves. Rumble. A violent explosion sounded. The black ball of light seemed to contain some kind of destructive power that wanted to completely kill the two old men. When Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji worked together, they actually managed to unleash a terrifying amount of power. Gotcha. However, the strength of the two old men was terrifying. The black light around them surged, and the explosive energy couldn't do anything to them. Instead, their ghostly claws tore through the void and shredded the Xianhuang Qi into pieces. When the heavens unleash their killing intent, the stars move. When the earth unleashes its killing intent, dragons and snakes rise. When the humans unleash their killing intent, the heavens and earth turn upside down. When the heavens and humans unite, everything changes. Li Chunfeng looked solemn as he muttered something under his breath. The surrounding void started to tremble violently. The laws of heaven and earth seemed to have been triggered by him. The mountains trembled violently. Even the divine caverns in the surroundings began to suppress the two old men. The feng shui killing array seemed to be giving birth to a world that was about to be destroyed. The heavens and earth turned upside down, the stars moved, and all living beings cried out in grief. This kind of power made Mingyu's eyes turn solemn. He could feel that if he were to fall into the feng shui killing array, he would be reduced to ashes in an instant. He wouldn't be able to withstand the power of heaven and earth. Just this feng shui killing array alone gave Li Chunfeng the strength to fight against a godly spirit expert. Unfortunately, the two old men weren't ordinary godly spirits. If Ling Xiao was here, he would be able to tell that the two old men had already reached the peak of the godly spirit realm. It was just that they had stayed in the mortal realm for too long. The divine energy in their bodies had deteriorated, and they could only unleash the strength of a late-stage godly spirit realm expert. Even so, it was still extremely terrifying. Rumble. The two old men exuded extremely terrifying fluctuations. They instantly soared into the sky. Their hands were like giant pillars that could hold up the sky. In an instant, they tore apart the feng shui killing formation. The mountains that were coming at them were also shattered by them. The two old men's eyes were incomparably cold as they charged towards Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji both smiled bitterly. The gap between their cultivation bases was simply too great. If both of them were able to attain the heavenly divinity, they might still stand a chance against Yemo. But now, all their attacks couldn't do any damage to the two old men. Boom. At this moment, the vast sea of lightning in the void seemed to have exploded. Thick bolts of lightning shot through the void, turning the entire divine cavern into a world of lightning. Just as the two old men were about to reach Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, a vast lightning bolt descended from the sky. It was extremely bright and resplendent, suppressing the two old men. Chapter 1131. Kaboom. Dazzling lightning exploded, and the two elders from the god-burying clan trembled violently. Lightning flashed as they were sent flying. The lightning that filled the sky dissipated, and a figure shrouded in blazing lightning appeared in front of everyone. He finally succeeded. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji sucked in a deep breath of air as excitement flickered in their eyes. Dual God Stage. Ling Zhao's physical body and divine force were both godly. Ling Zhao's true strength could be said to be unrivaled in the divine spirit realm. Ling Zhao's body glowed with golden light, and his black hair danced in the wind. His entire person exuded an invincible and mysterious aura. He looked extraordinarily handsome, and his body glowed. His body was slender and strong, and he exuded an ancient dragon's aura. His eyes were bright and sharp like two divine swords that pierced through the void. In the sea of lightning tribulation, The shadows of the 9 emperors were all torn apart by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had comprehended part of the martial will of the 9 emperors, and with his invincible physical body and engulfing divine sea, he had killed all of the 9 emperors and devoured and absorbed part of their laws. To Ling Xiao, this was an unimaginable benefit, and it meant that his path of divine Tao had become wider. After attaining the dual god stage, the engulfing divine sea was unparalleled, and it could maintain the divine force in Ling Xiao's body at a very high level at all times. It was only now that Ling Xiao was able to fully unleash the 4 elephants striking the heavens without suffering too much of a backlash. More importantly, through the battle with the 9 emperors, Ling Xiao discovered many mysterious uses of martial arts, especially the measurement of strength and combat strength. It was just like the saying of martial artists in the mortal world. For tails can defeat 1,000 caddies. He could use less strength to defeat his opponent. For example, right now, Ling Xiao had merely unleashed the battle prowess of a titled supreme being, yet it was enough to kill a godly spirit realm master. You are Ling Xiao? There was a flash of light in Zhang Xian's eyes as he revealed a curious and passionate expression. He could feel that Ling Xiao's body exuded an extremely dangerous aura, which meant that Ling Xiao's combat strength was extremely strong. God-burying clan? If I remember correctly, I don't have any enmity with the God-burying clan, right? If you leave now, I won't kill you. Ling Xiao glanced at Zhang Xian and said calmly, "No enmity. Ling Xiao, you killed so many people from Emperor Tomb Mountain, causing many of my God-burying race's plans to go to waste. Is this not called enmity? If my guess is correct, the wordless heavenly book should be in your hands, right? Hand it over and submit to me. I can spare your life." Zhang Xian did not seem to have any self-awareness as he looked at Ling Xiao indifferently. Wordless heavenly book? So your God-burying clan also came for the wordless heavenly book. Since that's the case, I have no choice but to kill all of you. Ling Xiao said calmly as if he was stating a fact, but the murderous intent in his voice made people shudder. According to what Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji had said, since the God-burying race had appeared, they must have suspected that the wordless heavenly book was in Ling Xiao's possession. Naturally, they wouldn't let Ling Xiao off. The God-burying race probably had the same idea as the celestial race. They were both eyeing the wordless heavenly book on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not deny it. After all, he had used the textless heavenly book many times. To others, the textless heavenly book was no secret. Kill all of us. Ha ha. Ling Xiao, you're really arrogant. Do you think that after becoming a god, you have the right to be arrogant in front of this young master? Let's not talk about whether you can kill this young master. Even if you can kill me, my god-burying race's old ancestor will not let you off. Ling Xiao, don't waste your time. You've already become the target of everyone. The celestial race and the sorcerer race are all eyeing the wordless heavenly book on you. If you hand over the wordless heavenly book and submit to this young master will definitely protect your life. In the future, I'll even bring you into the realm of the gods. Zhang Xian laughed coldly, his eyes filled with disdain. Although Ling Xiao was very strong, he didn't believe that Ling Xiao could kill him and the 2 powerhouses from the God-burying clan by himself. Moreover, this was the God-burying cave, the land of the God-burying race. If Ling Xiao made any strange moves, the old ancestor would not let him off. The ignorant are truly fearless. In my eyes, you're just a bunch of ants. As for the old ancestor you mentioned, I really want to see how much strength he has left after 1,000,000 years. Ling Xiao said indifferently, his eyes filled with a strong fighting spirit. According to Zhu Ganglai, even a god-level expert only had a lifespan of 1,000,000 years. The celestial race's heavenly king and the old ancestor of the god-burying race were probably old monsters who had lived for more than 1,000,000 years. Now they did not have much lifespan left. Therefore, even if the old ancestor of the god-burying race had the strength of a true god, Ling Xiao was not afraid. Arrogant. Then this young master wants to see what qualifications you have to be so arrogant. Zhang Xian laughed coldly, his eyes revealing a cold killing intent. Buzz. A light flashed in his hand, and in an instant, a black ancient cauldron floated above his head. It contained an ancient and mysterious aura, and its divine power was vast. It seemed to be intertwined with his entire body. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Zhang Xian's strength was not even comparable to the two old men of the god-burying race. However, since he dared to fight Ling Xiao, he probably relied on this ancient cauldron. The black ancient cauldron was heavy and mysterious. It emitted a desolate and barren fluctuation, as if it wanted to bury heaven and earth in this ancient cauldron. The sky-burying cauldron, the treasure of the sky-burying race, contained an extremely terrifying power. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He could almost instantly confirm that this sky-burying cauldron was not the slightest bit inferior to the demon saint's scepter. The sky-burying cauldron was also a god-king weapon. No wonder Zhang Xian was so confident. Kill! Zhang Xian's eyes flashed with killing intent as he punched towards Ling Xiao. At the same time, wisps of black mist escaped from the sky-burying cauldron and attached to his fist, causing his fist to contain an extremely terrifying fluctuation. Ling Zhao's expression was calm. Even with the sky-burying cauldron, he did not take Zhang Xian seriously at all. After all, the gap between them was too great. Moreover, no matter how strong the sky-burying cauldron was, this was the mortal world. The power of a god-king weapon was suppressed. Moreover, with Zhang Xian's cultivation, he could not fully activate the sky-burying cauldron. Rumble! Ling Xiao punched out and a resplendent fist mark erupted, containing an indestructible power. When the two fists collided, the air trembled violently. Zhang Xian's expression changed abruptly. He felt a power that could destroy everything coming at him. It broke through his fist almost instantly. It wanted to kill him with one punch. Buzz! The sky-burying cauldron shone with a dense light, as if a layer of black barrier had enveloped Zhang Xian. Even though Ling Zhao's punch was incomparably terrifying, it could not do anything to Zhang Xian in the end. It was as if it had struck the void. That layer of barrier trembled slightly, but in the end, it still managed to block Ling Zhao's punch. Chapter 1132. Clang. The heaven-burying cauldron trembled slightly and emitted a clear sound. It emitted an ancient and mysterious fluctuation, causing the space to tremble violently. Black divine light filled the air, and turned into sharp rays of light that pierced towards Ling Xiao. Boom! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed sharply. He raised his 5 fingers to the sky and mysterious runes spurted out from his palm. His palm print covered the sky and instantly shattered the divine light emitted by the burying sky cauldron. Swoosh! Ling Xiao was extremely fast. His entire body was shrouded in golden light as he punched towards Zhang Xian. The golden fist imprint contained an indestructible power. Ling Xiao activated his physical strength to the extreme, and the power of the war god flowed through his entire body. His divine dragon body also erupted with a vast and terrifying dragon's might, causing this fist to contain a power that could steal one's soul. In the god's test, the battle between Ling Xiao and the 9 emperors had benefited him a lot. Especially the great emperor with the invincible fist intent. That kind of state where all living beings would grieve and heaven and earth would shatter with a single punch made him unconsciously integrated into his own fist principle. Zhang Xian's eyes revealed a trace of horror. Facing Ling Zhao's punch, he felt as though he was facing the ancestor of the god-burying clan. Even with the burying sky cauldron, he still felt a fatal murderous intent. It was as though all his attacks were useless against Ling Xiao. Zhang Xian could only desperately pour the divine power in his body into the burying sky cauldron, and activate the power of the burying sky cauldron to block Ling Zhao's punch. Buzz! The burying sky cauldron shone brightly and the ancient runes lit up. Dark light filled the air, and the mouth of the cauldron spewed out a black mist as though it was going to devour heaven and earth. Boom! Ling Zhao's punch landed on the burying sky cauldron. Suddenly, an extremely blazing divine light storm erupted. The void trembled violently, and the runes on the burying sky cauldron exploded. This punch was incomparably fierce and invincible. It contained an invincible fist intent that could destroy everything. Even though Zhang Xian hid under the burying sky cauldron, and used the power of the burying sky cauldron to block Ling Zhao's punch, part of the invincible divine power still passed through. Zhang Xian was dizzy and his entire body trembled violently. I'd like to see if your tortoise shell can protect you. Ling Zhao's entire body exuded an unparalleled battle intent. Golden divine light shot up into the sky, and he punched out again. Zhang Xian did not seem to be able to resist Ling Zhao's attack at all. He could only use the power of the heaven-burying cauldron to block Ling Zhao's attack. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji's eyes flashed with surprise and excitement. Ling Zhao's strength was getting more and more unfathomable. If Ling Zhao's physical body had become a god, he would have been like a god of war in their eyes. His battle prowess would be unparalleled. However, the current Ling Zhao was like a vast ocean whose depth could not be seen. It made them unable to even feel a shred of battle intent. The two old men from the god-burying clan were also shocked. Ling Zhao's formidable strength caused their scalps to tingle. However, Zhang Xian's identity was too important. They couldn't let anything happen to Zhang Xian, so they could only brace themselves. Ling Zhao, don't be so arrogant. An old and cold voice rang out. The two old men from the god-burying clan pounced towards Ling Zhao at the same time. Black light rose from their bodies, forming a domain of darkness. Numerous python-like chains shot towards Ling Zhao. The two of them had seen how terrifying Ling Zhao was. Hence, they could only hope to trap Ling Zhao for a moment. Numerous black chains surged, densely packed together. It was unknown how many there were, but they wanted to completely trap Ling Zhao. Boom. At the same time, Ling Zhao's fist landed on the heaven-burying cauldron. Resplendent divine light erupted once again. Feeling the aura of the two old men from the god-burying clan behind him, Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably cold. He welcomed the black chains that filled the sky, not bothering to dodge at all. At the same time, a golden flame rose from Ling Zhao's palm. It contained an aura that could swallow everything. This was the heaven-swallowing divine fire. After Ling Zhao's heaven-swallowing secret technique condensed the heaven-swallowing divine sea, the heaven-swallowing divine fire had also transformed into the heaven-swallowing divine fire. The heaven-swallowing divine fire could burn anything. It could burn rivers and boil seas. It was terrifying to the extreme. In an instant, it turned into a vast sea of flames that enveloped the two old men from the god-burying clan. The black chains that filled the sky were formed from the power of the god-burying clan within their bodies. But when they encountered the heaven-swallowing divine fire, it was as if they had met their nemesis. They instantly began to burn, turning into ashes in an instant. As for the heaven-swallowing divine fire, it followed the aura of the god-burying clan's power. As if it had a mind of its own, it spread towards the two old men from the god-burying clan. What? Feeling the terrifying power of the heaven-swallowing divine fire, the two old men from the god-burying clan's complexion changed. They felt the threat of death. Without thinking, they directly shot away. You want to leave? You'd better stay here. Ling Zhao's eyes were indifferent. Although the two old men from the god-burying clan possessed extraordinary strength, the power of the god-burying clan was originally restrained by the heaven-swallowing divine fire. When they encountered Ling Zhao, it was as if they had met their nemesis. Whoosh! Ling Zhao's figure was like a bolt of lightning. In an instant, he appeared in front of the two old men from the god-burying clan, and punched out. The two old men's complexions changed. But that incomparably fierce fist had already arrived in front of them. There was no way for them to dodge. They could only stimulate the strength of their bodies to resist with all their might. Bang! A golden fist broke out, and the two old men from the god-burying race were sent flying by Ling Zhao's fist. Their arms exploded into a bloody mist, and they were sent flying several thousand feet away, falling into the sea of fire formed by the heaven-swallowing divine fire. The heaven-swallowing divine fire instantly enveloped the two old men. Moreover, when the power of the god-burying clan within their bodies encountered the heaven-swallowing divine fire, it was like oil had been poured onto a fire. It burned even more fiercely. Ah! The two old men from the god-burying clan let out incomparably miserable cries. They tumbled in the sea of flames, but they were unable to escape the burning of the heaven-swallowing divine fire. The miserable cries caused Zhang Xian's scalp to tingle. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. Ling Zhao, do you really want to become enemies with my god-burying clan? Release the two elders and I can let you leave here. Zhang Xian's expression was ugly as he shouted at Ling Zhao. Become enemies with your god-burying clan? From the moment you coveted the wordless heavenly book in my possession, we were already irreconcilable. Ling Xiao coldly smiled, his eyes full of ridicule. Puff. Killing intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He didn't care about Zhang Xian's murderous gaze at all. His palm shone brightly, and a palm blade chopped down. Immediately, the two old men were split into 4 halves. The heaven-swallowing divine fire swept over them, instantly swallowing their primordial spirits and godheads. Boundless divine power essence poured into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was already incomparably powerful, especially after refining the primordial spirits and godheads of so many demon gods. However, the primordial spirits and godheads of these two old men from the god-burying clan made Ling Xiao's primordial spirit even more solid and pure. Chapter 1133. Ling Xiao, you deserve to die. Zhang Xian's face was extremely gloomy and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He did not expect that in the God Burial Cave, in the territory of the God Burial Clan, Ling Xiao would dare to kill 2 divine spirits of the God Burial Clan. The 2 elders of the God Burial Clan were lucky survivors of the war 1,000,000 years ago. In the entire God Burial Clan, there were not many divine spirit experts like them. Buzz! At this moment, the sky-burying cauldron shone brightly. Zhang Xian silently chanted, and a mysterious and terrifying figure appeared in the void. It was a middle-aged man in black armor. He was heroic and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His body was strong and he exuded a powerful aura. He was enveloped in black divine light. His eyes were extremely sharp and contained an indifferent and cold expression. He was extremely aggressive. He looked at Ling Xiao indifferently as if he was looking at an ant. Greetings, ancestor. He is Ling Xiao. The textless heavenly book is with him. He killed 2 elders of the God Burial Clan. Ancestor, please kill him. When Zhang Xian saw the middle-aged man appear, his eyes were filled with fanaticism and respect. He knelt down and bowed. You are Ling Xiao? The ancestor of the God Burial Clan looked at Ling Xiao indifferently with a strange look in his eyes. You are the ancestor of the God Burial Clan? You are just a clone. If you don't want to die, let your real body come. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he said calmly. He could feel that the ancestor of the God Burial Clan in front of him was just a spirit clone that was attached to the sky-burying cauldron. It was not the real body of the ancestor of the God Burial Clan. However, even if it was just a divine clone, its strength was still extremely terrifying. It far surpassed the 2 old men from the God-burying clan and Zhang Xian. Ling Xiao could feel that the power of this divine clone had probably reached the peak of the divine spirit realm. Young man, you are really arrogant. Do you think that you are worthy of the ancestor's real body appearing? The ancestor of the God Burial Clan was not angry. Instead, he smiled faintly. It is not up to you to decide whether I am worthy or not. I don't want to waste my breath on you. If you want to get the wordless heavenly book, then let's see if you have the ability. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. Young man, I don't want to bully you. How about this? As long as you can take 3 of my moves, I'll let you go. How about that? If you can't even take 3 of my moves, then you don't deserve to have a treasure like the wordless heavenly book. The old ancestor of the God-burying clan said indifferently. 3 moves? Very good. Then let me experience the ultimate techniques of the God-burying race. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he agreed. He could feel that the old ancestor of the God-burying clan was a character with monstrous strength. After all, to be able to survive the great calamity 1,000,000 years ago was not something an ordinary person could do. Since they were destined to be enemies, it would be good to use this clone of the God-burying clan's old ancestor to test his true strength. Moreover, through the battle with the old ancestor of the God-burying clan, Ling Xiao could also see the true strength of the deities in the other forbidden lands, such as the experts of the heavenly human tribe and the sorcerer tribe. No matter what the old ancestor of the God-burying clan was scheming, Ling Xiao did not care. The moment the old ancestor of the God-burying race appeared, Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji jumped in fright. They were afraid that Ling Xiao wouldn't be a match for him. But when they saw that it was just a clone, they were able to relax for the time being. Do you think Ling Xiao can take 3 of Zongsu's moves? Li Chunfeng secretly transmitted his voice to Mu Tianji. It shouldn't be a problem. It is just a clone. With Ling Xiao's current combat strength, it is not impossible for him to kill Zongsu's clone. What we should be more worried about is the combat strength of Zongsu's real body. Mu Tianji's eyes flashed as he said slowly, if the clone goes all out, it should be able to unleash the true combat strength of the original body. Let's see if Ling Xiao can force Zongsu to use his true strength. Let's hope so. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji looked at Ling Xiao and Zongsu, who were in the void, with anticipation in their eyes. Young man, you are indeed courageous. I heard that your physical body is extremely strong. Let's have a taste of this move of mine, the Skyfall Hammer. Zongsu's eyes revealed a trace of admiration as he said slowly, rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the void began to tremble violently. Lightning flashed as he raised his hand and formed a fist seal. The primordial chaos was unparalleled. It was like a giant hammer that reached the heavens, smashing down on Ling Xiao from the 9 heavens. Ling Xiao's gaze turned serious. This fist seemed to have merged with the heavens and earth. As the Skyfall Hammer came down, the primordial chaos was boundless. It contained an unstoppable force, as if it wanted to shatter everything into dust. The Skyfall Hammer gave Ling Xiao an illusion. It was as if the great emperor from the deity's tribulation had come back to life. The invincible fist intent that could destroy everything was very similar to it. However, when Zongsu executed it, it was obviously a little sluggish. The realm of his fist intent was also much lower. Could it be that this Skyfall Hammer was the martial art of that great emperor? Ling Xiao became excited when he thought of this. If he could obtain the martial arts technique of the great emperor, it would definitely make his path to the divine path more solid. Kill. Ling Xiao did not have time to think. He immediately focused his mind and divine power rose around him. Dragon power filled the air, and he also threw a punch at Zongsu. 1,000 Dragons God-slaying skill. Above Ling Xiao's fist seal, golden light shone brightly. 10,000 dragons rose and 49 7-colored divine dragons moved unhindered. They covered the sky and pounced on Zongsu. Ling Xiao could feel that the 1,000 dragons God-slaying skill was not as powerful as the Skyfall Hammer. However, it was superior in that Ling Xiao's physical body had become a god and was recognized by the heavenly Tao. It had an almost invincible force, which made his punch equally ferocious. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled violently as the 2 fist seals suddenly collided. Blazing divine light gushed out. The 49 7-colored divine dragons were actually blasted apart by the Skyfall Hammer. However, Ling Xiao's fist intent contained an unyielding and invincible fluctuation. In the end, it was destroyed along with the Skyfall Hammer. Ling Xiao and Zongsu both trembled, and were sent flying back at the same time. However, Ling Xiao was only sent flying by a dozen steps while Zongsu was sent flying by more than 300 meters. It was obvious that Ling Xiao had the upper hand. Has his physical body become a god? Powerful indeed. A sharp light flashed in Zongsu's eyes, and he revealed a trace of amazement. Previously, there had been news that Ling Xiao's physical body had become a god. However, he did not believe it. After all, it was very difficult to achieve this even in the deity's realm, let alone in a mere mortal world. Chapter 1134. Zongsu's Skyfall Hammer was a peerless fist technique that he had obtained from an ancient ruin. It was a pity that he only had this move and did not obtain the complete martial art's true meaning. Moreover, if he wanted to cultivate it to perfection, he would have to become a god with his physical body. Unfortunately, he did not become a god physically, so he had only cultivated the Skyfall Hammer to the greater success stage. However, 1,000,000 years ago, he had used the Skyfall Hammer to kill countless extraterritorial devils. It was extremely terrifying. Although Zongsu's clone only had the strength of a peak divine spirit realm expert, once the Skyfall Hammer was used, even an ordinary peak divine spirit realm expert would be killed directly. However, not only was Ling Xiao not injured, but he also broke the Skyfall Hammer and gained the upper hand. Very good. Next is the second move, God-burying annihilating light. Zongsu's eyes flickered as he began to look at Ling Xiao seriously. Boom. Black divine light rose around him. It was as vast as the sea, causing the surrounding void to begin to tremble. Wisps of black mist rose as if the sky had turned into a world of darkness. Divine power surged around Zongsu's body. The dazzling divine light covered the sky and covered the earth as it enveloped Ling Xiao. God-burying annihilating light was a divine light formed by burying a god's power. It could wipe out a person's physical body, primordial spirit, fate, and even all traces of existence. Zongsu knew that Ling Xiao had become a god physically, so he used the god-burying annihilating light to target Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, wanting to completely wipe him out. It's actually the god-burying annihilating light? This is the ancestor's ultimate move. Ling Xiao is dead this time. Zhang Xian's eyes revealed a trace of shock as he spoke with incomparable excitement. As a member of the god-burying clan, he naturally knew how terrifying the god-burying annihilating light was. Ling Xiao's physical body had become a god, but his primordial spirit was probably still a weakness. He would not be able to withstand this move at all. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt a stabbing pain between his brows. Before the god-burying annihilating light arrived, his brows were already on the verge of exploding. Devouring divine sea devour. Ling Xiao's entire body glowed with golden light as he soared into the sky. A vast heaven-devouring divine ocean appeared behind him, transforming into an incomparably blazing devouring vortex. The sky-devouring secret skill was ranked 14th among the Heaven Star secret skills. It was extremely powerful and even more miraculous than the ancestral dragon secret skill. Especially after Ling Xiao formed the sky-devouring divine sea, it could be said that there was nothing it couldn't devour. Although the god-burial light extinguishing light was also extremely terrifying, it was still only an extremely condensed energy in front of the heaven-devouring secret technique. Rumble. The devouring heaven divine sea was incomparably vast, shrouding everything around Ling Xiao. Endless god-burying exterminating light fell on the devouring heaven divine sea, bursting out a dazzling radiance. It was like a giant wave soaring to the sky, causing the devouring heaven divine sea to tremble violently. However, the heaven devouring divine sea contained a power fluctuation that could devour everything. In the end, it still devoured all of the god-burial light. Sky-devouring secret technique? You really did obtain the wordless heavenly book. To be able to cultivate the heaven-devouring secret technique to such a level, I'm afraid your divine power laws have already proven your Tao and become a god, right? Dual God Realm. Your talent is indeed very strong. Zongsu's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of shock. He naturally knew what the dual God Realm meant. With Ling Xiao's terrifying talent and the power of the wordless heavenly book, he would be another Scarlet Dragon war god in the future. Zongsu almost could not suppress the killing intent in his heart. However, when he thought of the plan, he forcibly suppressed the killing intent in his heart. Ling Xiao, take my third move. If you can take this move, I'll spare your life today. Zongsu's eyes were indifferent as he suddenly roared. Heaven-burying cauldron, heaven-burying realm. Rumble. The void in all directions began to shake violently. Under Zongsu's control, the heaven-burying cauldron blazed with light and instantly soared into the sky. With the mouth of the cauldron facing downwards, a blazing black light rose up, turning into a vast world of darkness. Strands of god-burying power spread out, instantly causing the world to turn dark. The surroundings trembled, and all the light disappeared. He couldn't even see his own fingers. Only the coldest killing intent stimulated Ling Xiao's nerves. The heaven-burying cauldron overturned, turning into a dark heaven-burying realm. It wanted to swallow all life and light and bury all things. In the heaven-burying realm, Ling Xiao seemed to have been stripped of his senses and senses. It was as if he had fallen into eternal loneliness and darkness. Even though Ling Xiao knew that this was the power of the heaven-burying cauldron that Zongsu had used, that strange feeling still made him feel a little afraid. Everyone would feel fear. Even the most powerful gods would feel fear. However, the difference was whether you could overcome this fear, face it head-on, or even use it. Although Ling Xiao could feel that instinctive fear, he did not suppress it. He knew that fear could make him more clear-headed and sense where the danger was. Rumble. A sharp light suddenly flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. It was as if a blazing sword light had broken through the endless darkness. He instantly soared into the sky, and then blasted a fist towards the darkness before him. Yellow, black, cyan, and red divine lights instantly soared into the sky, making this dark world seem to have a mysterious color. Then Ling Xiao's fist became more and more blazing, containing the power to destroy everything. The divine lights of the 4 divisions gathered into chaos, giving this fist a strange power to return to chaos and destroy the world. 4 divisions heaven-striking style. Kacha. As if some kind of barrier had been opened, the darkness in front of him was instantly torn apart. Then endless light shone in. Ling Xiao's fist fiercely slammed into the heaven-burying cauldron. Buzz. The heaven-burying cauldron emitted a mysterious fluctuation, causing the void to tremble. The terrifying fist intent exploded and blasted the heaven-burying cauldron hundreds of feet away. Ling Xiao had broken free. After Ling Xiao broke through the heaven-burying realm, Zhang Su seemed to have suffered a huge backlash. His entire figure became incomparably illusory. However, his eyes became brighter and brighter. Good. Very good. Ling Xiao, since you can take 3 of my moves, you are indeed qualified to inherit the Scarlet Dragon War God's legacy. Today, I will let you go. However, the next time we meet, don't blame me for being impolite. Zhang Su stared at Ling Xiao and said slowly, "Let me go? Since we are destined to be enemies, then both of you should stay here." A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Zhang Su intended to let him go, but he did not intend to let Zhang Su go. Suddenly, the light around his body was dazzling. He instantly soared into the sky and pointed his finger like a sword. The sword light was extremely blazing and charged towards Zhang Su and Zhang Xian. "You don't have the strength to kill me." Chapter 1135. Rumble. Ling Xiao's sword also landed on the sky-burying cauldron. The sword radiance was blazing and sharp, causing the sky-burying cauldron to shine brightly. However, as it was a God-King weapon, Ling Xiao was still unable to break through its defense. Also, I'll give you a piece of news for free. If I'm not wrong, the real body of Demon God King Bo Sun is hidden in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. The Heavenly Devil tribe in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land is massacring the living beings of the War God continent. They should be refining the Heavenly Devil altar to summon Demon God King Bo Sun back. If you're too late, I'm afraid you won't be able to stop them. Zhang Su's voice rang out in the void before he disappeared in front of Ling Xiao. However, Zhang Su's words caused Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji's bodies to tremble as a trace of seriousness appeared in their eyes. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Through the battle with Zhang Su's doppelganger, he could see Zhang Su's true strength. He was probably not much stronger than this doppelganger. Otherwise, he could have revealed his real body and killed Ling Xiao to snatch the wordless heavenly book. Now, it could only mean that Zhang Su was not confident in dealing with Ling Xiao. Do you think Zhang Su is telling the truth? Ling Xiao looked at Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji, and asked calmly. It's hard to say whether Demon God King Bo Sun's real body is in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land. However, the Heavenly Devil tribe in the Heavenly Devil Ancient Land has appeared, and is massacring the living beings of the War God continent. We'll know once we check. It shouldn't be fake. However, I'm afraid Zhang Su is up to no good by telling us this. Li Chunfeng's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with wisdom as he said indifferently. Of course I know Zhang Su is up to no good. If I'm not wrong, he probably wants me to fight Demon God King Bo Sun to the death, so that he can reap the benefits. Mu Tianji's eyes widened as he nodded. That's very likely. The God-burying tribe, the Heavenly Human tribe, the Sorcerer tribe and the other divine spirits of the Forbidden Lands are probably a bunch of cowards who are afraid of death. Otherwise, they wouldn't have survived the calamity a million years ago. They know how strong Demon God King Bo Sun is. They definitely don't have the confidence to face him. That's why they're sending you here. That's right. If I hadn't been able to withstand Buried Void's 3 moves, he would have killed me and snatched the wordless heavenly book. His 3 moves were just a test. My strength has gained his recognition, So he probably wants me to fight against demon god King Bo Sun. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given up on the wordless heavenly book so easily. Ling Xiao said calmly with a hint of mockery in his eyes. These godly spirits hiding in the forbidden grounds viewed the living beings of the war god continent as worthless. Even if they knew that the Sky Devil race was hunting living beings in the Heavenly Devil ancient land, they didn't think of rescuing them. Instead, they wanted to scheme against Ling Xiao. In Ling Xiao's eyes, these immortals were no different from the devils of the outer realm. They all deserved to die. Then let's go quickly. If the Sky Devil clan really comes out, the experts of the War God continent won't be able to resist the demon god of the Sky Devil clan. I'm afraid it will be extremely dangerous. A hint of worry flashed across Li Chuanfeng's eyes. Good. Let's go. Since Buried Void wants me and demon god King Bo Sun to perish together, why shouldn't I fulfill his wish? This time, I will kill all the demons in the Heavenly Devil ancient land. A cold killing intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He instantly soared into the sky and flew out of the god burial cave. Li Chunfeng and Mu Tianji looked at each other and followed Ling Xiao out of the cave. In the 3 years that Ling Xiao was in seclusion, the entire war god continent was in turmoil. Especially when the Sky Devil race came out of the Heavenly Devil ancient land. They started a massacre on the war god continent. The 3 great demon gods of the Sky Devil clan had emerged. In the past few months, they had captured thousands of living beings of the human clan. Many sects had even been directly annihilated. The entire war god continent was in grief. Some people even went to the 8 great forbidden grounds to ask for help. Unfortunately, the godly spirits in the forbidden grounds didn't care about the lives of the people in the war god continent. Not a single one of them came to help. At this moment, everyone thought of Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao appeared, he would definitely kill those evil demon gods and sweep the entire Heavenly Devil ancient land clean. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao hadn't appeared for 3 years. Even the longevity sect had disappeared without a trace. Ling Xiao returned to the longevity sect through the Heavenly Stone. Ling Xiao's exit made the longevity sect's disciples and his old friends very happy. This meant that Ling Xiao's strength had increased, and he had a lot more confidence in facing the extraterrestrial demons. However, what made Ling Xiao puzzled was that the old goat, Taoist Wu Liang, Big Radish, and Longevity Grass had left the longevity sect. It was said that the old goat went to the holy ground to ask for help from the ancient demon race. If the ancient demon race was willing to help, they would have more confidence in fighting against the extraterrestrial demons. Taoist Wu Liang, Big Radish, and Longevity Grass were also said to have gone to seek help and train. In these 3 years, the cultivation of the disciples of the longevity sect had increased by leaps and bounds. Many of the genius disciples' cultivation showed signs of a blowout after receiving sufficient resources. This was especially true for Ling Xiao's 7 direct disciples. They originally possessed the power of the divine way. In these 7 years, their cultivation had almost reached the peak of the sovereign realm. They were only a sliver away from advancing to the divine realm. When they reached the divine realm, if they fused together to form the 7 evils gourd, it would definitely have the power to destroy heaven and earth. Cousin, the war god continent has been in complete chaos these few months. I want to exterminate those experts of the demon race. It's a pity that the old man and aunt won't let me out. Long Outyin rode on the fire Qilin and exuded a powerful dragon's aura. His eyes were filled with depression. The divine dragon bloodline in his body had been completely awakened, and his cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao had also passed on the cultivation method of the divine dragon body to him. Ling Xiao even felt that Long Outyin would be the next person to become a god with his physical body. After all, this kid's talent was too strong. It's right to not let you out. With your current cultivation, the demon god can kill you with one slap. Ling Xiao glared at him in exasperation. Cousin, are we just going to let those demon bastards be arrogant? If this continues, I'm afraid the entire war god world will be destroyed in their hands. Long Outyin said anxiously. Chapter 1136. Uncle, you're right. The Heavenly Fiend tribe captured humans to use their flesh and blood to forge the Heavenly Fiend altar and summon the demon god King Bo-sun. So, I've come back this time to wipe out the entire Heavenly Fiend ancient land. Ling Zhao's eyes glinted as he spoke calmly. All right. Xiao, you're right. We have to take the initiative to attack. No matter what the Heavenly Fiend tribe is up to, we can't let them succeed. Right at this moment, a hearty and clear laughter sounded. Long Hanyan and Ling Zhen walked in side by side. Long Hanyan's face was filled with a blissful smile. Her smile was like a flower. Ling Zhen, who was beside her, was tall and handsome. He was dressed in a white robe. Although his white hair was fluttering in the wind, his eyes shone brightly and he was in high spirits. He was very handsome and elegant. Mother, father? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of surprise. Speaking of which, this was his first official meeting with Ling Zhen. Previously, Ling Zhen had always appeared as the divine general of time. When Ling Xiao discovered his true identity, he had been heavily injured because he had used the Sutra of Time to help Ling Xiao deal with the left and right heavenly lords. After seeing Ling Zhen, Ling Xiao immediately felt a sense of closeness, as if they were related by blood. It even made his eyes brim with tears. These were the parents who had raised him. Even if Ling Xiao was the heaven-devouring supreme who dominated the world in his previous life, he was still the son of Long Hanyan and Ling Zhen. Good lad, well done. Ling Zhen patted Ling Zhao's shoulder heavily. His eyes were filled with satisfaction and pride. Ling Zhen recalled the first time he met Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was only at the monarch realm. Ling Zhen had always been worried about whether Ling Xiao could face a colossus like the War God Hall. Who would have thought that in just a few years, Ling Xiao would not only destroy the War God Hall, but also become a god and become the strongest expert in the entire War God continent. Although he knew that Ling Xiao was the heaven-devouring supreme in his previous life, it didn't affect Ling Zhen's mood at all. Father, it seems like you've recovered from your injuries. Ling Xiao looked at Ling Zhen with a smile in his eyes. At this moment, Ling Zhen could be said to have broken through to the titled Supreme Realm. His aura was extremely majestic, and even his life source was extremely abundant. I'm fine. However, I'm proud of you to see that you've surpassed me. However, with great power comes great responsibility. I believe that you will definitely be able to wipe out the Outer Realm demons and bring peace to the War God world. Ling Zhen's eyes were filled with anticipation and pride. Father, don't worry, the Heavenly Fiend race. I will destroy the Heavenly Fiend ancient land this time. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with determination. Big brother, I'll go with you this time. Isn't it just a bunch of demons? I'll annihilate all of them. The white dragon horse said nonchalantly. Its eyes were full of pride. Cousin, you have to bring me along this time. Those bastards should have died long ago. I long dragon, I long Tian. Long dragon Long Outyin said hurriedly. However, Long Lai glared at him and even gave him a kick on the chestnut. He was in so much pain that tears welled up in his eyes. Everyone laughed when they saw this. Ling Zhao's 7 true disciples, Mu Linfeng, Lu Jiani, and the rest, all volunteered to go with Ling Xiao to conquer the Heavenly Fiend ancient land. These 7 fellows had been reborn. Not only were their bodies much younger, but their temperaments had also become like that of a child. They hung around with Long Outyin and liked to mess around. They wanted to see the world in chaos. In an instant, the longevity hall was bustling with noise and excitement. Ling Xiao felt a little helpless. Master, you've reached the double god realm. I'm afraid it'll be extremely difficult for you to reach the triple god realm. However, I've recently discovered a treasure that might be able to help you. Zhu Ganglai suddenly said to Ling Xiao mysteriously. Oh, what treasure? Ling Xiao smiled and said, Master, please follow me. Zhu Ganglai chuckled and kept Ling Xiao in suspense. He then brought Ling Xiao to the back of the Longevity Mountain. That was the place where the Path Understanding tree grew. It was also the forbidden area of the Longevity sect. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He did not know why Zhu Ganglai would bring him to the Path Understanding tree, but he still followed Zhu Ganglai. The Path Understanding tree had now become a towering ancient tree with luxuriant leaves. Its crown was like a dome, covering the sky and emitting a mysterious aura. The entire longevity gate was enveloped by this mysterious aura and became tranquil and flawless. Everyone felt refreshed and their minds were clear. Even the most common inner demons disappeared. The path understanding tree had now taken root in the depths of the longevity boundary. Its leaves were luxuriant, and there were even strange flowers blooming. The fragrance of the flowers was pleasant and refreshing. The path understanding tree was shrouded in a resplendent glow. It was sparkling and translucent, and its branches and leaves looked as if they were carved from jade. They were incomparably exquisite, and on each leaf, there were mysterious patterns that seemed to contain some kind of truth of heaven and earth. With Zhu Gonglia's qualifications, he originally did not have the chance to come here. However, Jinsei brought him here once and he found a treasure here. Master, do you recognize this item? Zhu Ganglai brought Ling Xiao to the bottom of the path understanding tree. There was a fat bug lying on one of the path understanding leaves. Zhu Ganglai pointed at the bug and said, "At this moment, the insect seemed to be undergoing some kind of metamorphosis. Its entire body emitted a flickering light. Its body looked flawless and translucent, but there were 8 blood veins on its body. The 9th blood vein had also appeared, but it looked incomparably dim. This is the Heavenman silkworm?" Ling Zhao's eyes widened. He finally remembered the origin of this fat worm. This Heavenman silkworm was a treasure he cut out from an ancient stone in the Heavenly God City. Later on, he gave it to the old goat to bring back to the longevity sect. Ling Xiao didn't expect the Heavenman silkworm to be here. Moreover, Ling Xiao could see that the Heavenman silkworm's body was glowing. A layer of transparent shell seemed to be peeling off. The 2 thin and translucent wings were already showing their shape. This is evolving into a Heavenman divine butterfly? Ling Zhao's eyes trembled. Then, he became extremely excited. This was the Heavenman divine butterfly. It was said that a flap of its wings could shake the heavens and destroy a world. It was a ferocious existence that could destroy billions of lives. However, Ling Xiao didn't expect that the Heavenman silkworm had only undergone its 8th transformation a dozen years ago. How could it become a Heavenman divine butterfly so quickly? Could it be because of the path understanding tree? Ling Xiao stared at the path understanding tree in front of him with a hint of contemplation in his eyes. Chapter 1137. That's right. Master, the Heavenman silkworm is resting on the path understanding tree and has absorbed its aura. According to the old goat, the Grand Wisdom Monarch Ginseng and Longevity Grass also gave it 2 drops of divine liquid. That's why it's evolving so quickly. It's about to transform into a divine butterfly. Zhu Gonglia's eyes were also filled with excitement and amazement. The divine butterfly is a rare treasure in the god realm. It's said to have gone extinct in the ancient times. I didn't expect to see one here. Master, once the divine butterfly matures, it'll be able to tear apart a saint. Legend has it that it's comparable to an emperor. You've really found a treasure. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He didn't expect that the Heavenman silkworm he accidentally cut open would evolve into a divine butterfly. Even the legendary old man Skywatch didn't manage to cultivate one, but it was about to appear in Ling Zhao's hands. Is the divine butterfly really that powerful? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he slowly asked. Zhu Ganglai nodded. That's right. Master, the divine butterfly is said to have slaughtered dragons and true phoenixes during the ancient times. It's a supreme existence that could destroy the heavens with a flap of its wings. However, even if it's transformed into a divine butterfly, it's still in its infancy. As long as Master continues to nourish it with essence blood, it'll definitely be of great help to Master once it matures. The divine butterfly hasn't recognized a master yet. Others should be able to make it recognize a master, right? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he looked at Zhu Ganglai. Master, you're not thinking of giving the divine butterfly away, are you? You can't do that. It's a waste to leave such a supreme treasure in the hands of others. Zhu Ganglai immediately became anxious and tried to persuade Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. You said it yourself. The divine butterfly in its infancy isn't very strong and won't be of much use to me. I plan to give it to Jins. Jins doesn't have any cultivation right now, and I'm worried about her safety. With the divine butterfly protecting her, I can rest assured." Zhu Ganglai smiled bitterly with a complicated look in his eyes. In the demon race, he was used to seeing scheming against each other. Let alone a Dao partner, even parents and siblings could be killed. As a result, he did not understand why Ling Xiao would give the butterfly to Jin Sei, but for some reason, he felt a trace of respect in his heart. Perhaps, if he followed such a master, he wouldn't have to worry about being betrayed as cannon fodder one day, right? A juvenile divine skyman butterfly was not strong, but that was only when compared to a divine skyman butterfly at its peak. However, even a juvenile divine skyman butterfly had the battle prowess of a god. How could it not be strong? However, seeing how determined Ling Xiao was, Zhu Ganglai did not continue to persuade him. Ling Xiao left the back mountain and quickly brought Jin Sei over. When she heard that Ling Xiao wanted the butterfly to recognize her as its master, Jin Sei didn't agree. After all, in her opinion, Ling Xiao was about to face demon god King Bo Sun. The more help she had, the safer she would be. Jin Sei, only when you are safe can I fight demon god King Bo Sun with peace of mind. And believe me, I will definitely kill Bo Sun and cure you of the 7 soul dissipating soul light poison. Ling Xiao looked seriously at Jin Sei and said, I believe you, big brother Ling Xiao. Being able to see you again is already a gift from the heavens. If you live, I live. If you die, I will follow. Jin Sei smiled like a flower and said softly. Her long eyelashes fluttered and her beautiful eyes were filled with gentleness. Although her voice was very gentle, it contained a determination that moved one's heart, causing Ling Xiao's heart to involuntarily tremble. Jin Sei, don't worry. I won't die and you won't die either. We will live for 10,000 years, 100 million years, until the end of time. I am still waiting for you to give birth to a pair of children for me. Ling Xiao hugged Jin Sei tightly and whispered in her ear, afraid that Jin Sei would disappear if he let go. Jin Sei's pretty face was red, but her face was filled with happiness. Zhu Ganglai was very quiet at the side. Looking at the two in front of him hugging each other, his heart was filled with complex emotions and envy. In the eyes of many demons, humans were weak, fragile, and had a lot of boring emotions. They were only fit to be food for demons. But sometimes, Zhu Ganglai thought that it was because of those emotions that humans had that allowed them to become the epic lords of this era, to suppress the 3,000 realms and become the rulers of this world. Finally, under Zhu Ganglai and Ling Xiao's guidance, Jin Sei's essence blood fused into the Heavenmen silkworm. Rumble. The Heavenmen silkworm emitted a resplendent light, as if it had finally reached the critical point of evolution. In an instant, the 9th blood vein completely appeared, and was clearly visible. The 9 blood veins were resplendent, and like 9 divine chains of order, they instantly soared into the sky and contained a vast and mysterious power of laws. The Heavenmen silkworm began to tremble slightly. Its chubby and cute body emitted a majestic blood energy, an ancient and mysterious ripple. It was as if an ancient divine beast had awakened, becoming monstrous and terrifying. Almost half of Jin Sei's blood fused into the Heavenmen silkworm's body. She formed a seal with her hands and used her blood to draw an extremely mysterious rune in the void. Then, she suddenly imprinted it on the Heavenmen silkworm's body. Boom! The 9 blood veins were like 9 chains that bound the Heavenmen silkworm. They shone with a resplendent light, and then all of them suddenly exploded. The Heavenmen silkworm floated in the void. The Epiphany tree also danced in the wind. Mysterious rays of light fell down like pearls and poured into the Heavenmen silkworm's body. The Heavenmen silkworm violently twisted. When the light reached its peak, 2 transparent cicada wings broke free. The 9-colored light illuminated the void. It was extremely beautiful. The Heavenmen silkworm had completely transformed into a butterfly. It shone with 9-colored light, and its aura was ancient and mysterious. A ferocious aura spread out as if it could break open the world. The Heavenmen butterfly had come into being. However, Jin Sei could feel that there was a bloodline connection between her and the Heavenmen butterfly. She could feel the attachment and intimacy of the Heavenmen butterfly. She couldn't help but reach out her slender hand. Wang. The Heavenmen butterfly slightly trembled and gently flew into the air. The nine-colored light flowed in a beautiful and gentle manner. It directly landed in Jin Sei's palm. The butterfly gently flapped its wings and divine light flowed. It looked very cute and beautiful. Chapter 1138. So beautiful. Jin Sei's eyes were filled with joy. Women had no resistance to beautiful things like this, especially the divine sky-mending butterfly. It could be said to be a spirit that was blessed by heaven and earth. It was the darling of heaven and earth with peerless talent. However, things that were too perfect would easily attract the jealousy of heaven. Perhaps the divine sky-mending butterfly was the last one in this world. After all, evolving from a divine sky-mending silkworm to a divine sky-mending butterfly was too difficult. Buzz. The divine sky-mending butterfly circled around Jin Sei once. In the end, it seemed to be tired and landed on Jin Sei's hair like a nine-colored hairpin. It was very strange. Croak, croak, croak. At this time, the appearance of the divine sky-mending butterfly alarmed a fellow on the epiphany tree. It was a golden toad the size of a washbasin. Its eyes were extremely intelligent, and it looked at the divine sky-mending butterfly with a burning gaze. However, it seemed to be a bit fearful. It lay on the epiphany tree's branch, and didn't dare to come down. 1,000-year scarlet toad? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. This was the 1,000-year scarlet toad he placed under the epiphany tree. However, he didn't expect it to turn into an auspicious beast with a powerful aura. At this moment, it was staring at Ling Zhao with its large eyes. Master, this is a treasure-seeking toad, an ancient beast. It can find treasures in the world and discern feng shui. It is no longer a simple 1,000-year scarlet toad. Zhu Ganglai explained from the side. He was also very surprised. Seeing the epiphany tree back then was enough to shock him. He didn't expect to find a divine sky-mending silkworm and a treasure-seeking toad on the tree. The 1,000-year-old vermilion toad originally possessed a trace of the treasure-hunting golden toad's bloodline. Over the years, it had absorbed the essence of heaven and earth under the epiphany tree. And because of the epiphany tree, it had unlocked the power of its bloodline and transformed into the treasure-hunting golden toad. The epiphany tree is indeed mysterious. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he looked at the epiphany tree before him with a trace of emotion. The divine sky-mending silkworm transformed into a divine sky-mending butterfly, and the 1,000-year scarlet toad transformed into a treasure-seeking toad so quickly. Master, this epiphany tree is only a seedling. A fully mature epiphany tree is said to be millions of miles tall. It is said to be connected with heaven and earth, and can give birth to 3,000 great worlds. In heaven and earth, it can even transform into a world tree. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. World tree? With God and demons. And legend had it that all connate spiritual roots were descendants of the world tree. In the God realm, there are many sacred grounds and sects that have strong natural spiritual roots. They give birth to a world and multiply life. It is very mysterious. Master, if the epiphany tree can grow, the Changsun sect may become one of those eternal sacred grounds in the God realm. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. Buzz. At this moment, the divine sky-mending butterfly on top of Jin Sei's head spat out a pearl with 9 different colors. It looked very mysterious. It's the divine sky-mending pearl. Master, this last divine sky-mending pearl contains a mysterious power. It can let your primordial spirit transform rapidly. You can use your spiritual power to become a god. Zhu Gonglia's eyes lit up as he said excitedly. The supreme treasure he was talking about was the last heaven-mending pearl. The last heaven-mending pearl that the heaven-mending silkworm spat out when it transformed into the divine heaven-mending butterfly was even more mysterious than the previous 8 heaven-mending pearls. Ling Zhao had given the last divine sky-mending pearl to Li Chunfeng. It allowed him to recover to his peak in one fell swoop. As for the 9th divine sky-mending pearl, it was even more mysterious than the previous one. Brother Ling Zhao, quickly consume it. Only when you reach the triple god realm will you have the strength to fight against demon god King Bo Sun. Jin Sei handed the divine sky-mending pearl to Ling Zhao and said with anticipation. Ling Zhao did not decline and took it. He could feel that the power within the divine sky-mending pearl was very beneficial to his primordial spirit. Even the treasure-hunting golden toad's eyes lit up when it saw the divine sky-mending pearl. It could not wait to pounce on it and snatch it away. Ling Xiao did not consume it directly. Instead, he kept it. I have a feeling that when I reach the triple god realm, there will be a terrifying lightning tribulation. I'll keep it for now. Maybe it can give Demon God King Bosun a surprise. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as his eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. Zhu Ganglai couldn't help but shiver. He naturally knew what Ling Xiao was planning. If Ling Xiao were to undergo the divine tribulation when he reached the three gods' realm, Bosun Demon God King would also be targeted by the divine tribulation. At that time, Bosun Demon God King would definitely suffer a great loss. However, was Ling Xiao not afraid? In such a terrifying tribulation, coupled with Demon God King Bosun, Ling Xiao would probably die. However, Zhu Ganglai was tactful and did not ask. Ling Xiao and Jin Se left the back mountain and returned to Jin Se Pavilion. Jin Se Pavilion was currently the forbidden area of the entire longevity sect. All the disciples revered and worshipped this place because the two ancestors of the longevity sect resided here. Brother. When he returned to Jin Se Pavilion, a young girl in a white dress, who looked like she was carved out of jade, happily threw herself at Ling Xiao. Her eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. You are Luo Luo? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. He almost could not recognize Luo Luo. Moreover, what made Ling Xiao's heart tremble was that Luo Luo's appearance was becoming more and more like Xue Wei. In the reincarnation realm, Ling Xiao was almost certain that Xue Wei was the daughter of the first reincarnation saintess and Scarlet Dragon War God. However, who was Luo Luo? Li Chunfeng had previously told Ling Xiao that Luo Luo was indeed not his biological granddaughter. He had unintentionally dug her out from a sealed area. However, in Xue Wei's memory, the first reincarnation saintess and Scarlet Dragon War God only had one daughter. Therefore, Ling Xiao was even more suspicious of Luo Luo's identity. Master, Luo Luo should also be the daughter of Scarlet Dragon War God. Zhu Ganglai looked carefully at Luo Luo and naturally knew what Ling Xiao was thinking. He transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. What? What did you see? Scarlet Dragon War God only has one daughter, Xue Wei. Chapter 1139. Zhu Ganglai explained. Master, you're right. The Scarlet Dragon War God and the first reincarnation saintess only have one daughter, and Xue Wei and Luo Luo are probably the same person. Ling Xiao was shocked by Zhu Gonglia's words, and his eyes showed a trace of disbelief. How could two living people be the same person? Master, I experienced the war 1,000,000 years ago and saw the Scarlet Dragon War God with my own eyes. Luo Luo has the Scarlet Dragon War God's bloodline, and her aura is very similar to the Scarlet Dragon War God's. Xue Wei's aura is also very similar to the Scarlet Dragon War God's aura, so I have a guess. Luo Luo is the original body, but after being sealed for 1,000,000 years, her body gave birth to intelligence and thoughts. Xue Wei is the primordial spirit, and after 1,000,000 years of reincarnation, she finally returned to the Samsara temple. So it's very likely that they are the same person. One is the primordial spirit. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. He was also shocked by this guess. What? Ling Xiao's eyes were shocked. He didn't expect Zhu Ganglai to give him such an explanation. How do you know so much? Zhu Ganglai, who are you? Ling Xiao's sharp eyes fell on Zhu Gonglia's face. Zhu Ganglai smiled bitterly and said, Master, I'm Zhu Ganglai. My life is in your hands. How can I lie to you? This is just a guess, but it's the most likely guess. Will it affect Luo Luo and Xue Wei? Ling Xiao's eyes showed a trace of worry. Definitely. Zhu Ganglai said, the original body and the true spirit are the most compatible, so Luo Luo and Xue Wei will merge into one sooner or later. At that time, one of their consciousnesses will be destroyed, and as for who will take the lead, it's up to fate. Is there no other way? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Whether it was Luo Luo or Xue Wei, Ling Xiao didn't want either of them to disappear. This is just my guess, I can't say for sure. But Master, when Xue Wei comes out and meets Luo Luo, everything will be clear. Zhu Ganglai said slowly. Shuiwei. She had already been in seclusion for 4 to 5 years. She should be coming out soon. Let's hope everything goes well. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and shook his head. After the catastrophe a million years ago, there were many truths hidden behind the fog. Now the truth was being revealed bit by bit, but some truths were hard to accept. No matter what, let's wipe out the heavenly devil ancient land first. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he calmed himself down and said slowly. Next he accompanied Jin Se and Luo Luo for 2 days. At the same time, he sent out the disciples of Changsun sect to War God continent to gather the forces of Changsun sect and prepare for the upcoming battle. The cultivation of the longevity sect's disciples increased by leaps and bounds. Yi Feng and Yi Meng both possessed the body of darkness. At this moment, their cultivation had already reached the half-step supreme being tribulation of the 4 symbols. They were only 1 step away from passing the supreme being tribulation. Their ancestor Yi Qianjue's rebirth made the brother and sister extremely excited. Yi Qianjue was also nurturing the 2 of them, activating the darkness bloodline in their bodies to the extreme. The chaos on War God continent was getting worse and worse. The experts of the demon race came and went like ghosts, causing endless slaughter. Even a few martial Dao holy lands were completely annihilated by the demon race, completely wiping out their orthodoxies. On this day, the disciples of Changsun sect sent news that the heavenly devil ancient land had sent out 5 immortal realm experts. Under the lead of a young man named Young Master Xie, they killed their way to the Great Lane Temple. They were ready to destroy the Great Lane Temple in one fell swoop. It was even said that Mingwang Temple had already submitted to the heavenly devil ancient land and participated in this siege. Even Jia Yi and Long-Browed Buddha sent out messages for help. The demon gods of the heavenly devil ancient land have finally made their move. Since that's the case, let's kill them all. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and he decided to save the Great Lane Temple. The disciples of Changsun sect all rubbed their palms together. Their eyes were filled with excitement and strong battle intent. They were not afraid of the upcoming battle at all. Instead, they were filled with anticipation. Ling Xiao decided to capture the demon gods and find out about the situation in the heavenly devil ancient land. After that, he would lead his people into the heavenly devil ancient land. This time, Ling Xiao only brought along experts above the supreme realm among the disciples of Changsun sect. Originally, Ling Xiao wanted Jin Se to stay in Changsun sect. However, Jin Se also decided to follow Ling Xiao into this battle. Thinking that Jin Se had the divine sky-patching butterfly to protect her, Ling Xiao agreed. Ling Xiao, Jin Se, Zhu Ganglai Bai Longma, Zhu Biao Long Out Yen Long Lai, Fire Phoenix Supreme, Moon God Phoenix Lady, and Ling Zhao's 7 disciples. A total of 17 people charged towards the Great Lane Temple. Everyone knew that the time for the final battle had arrived. Swoosh! Ling Xiao tore through the void and led many experts towards the far west land. That was the direction of the Great Lane Temple. Just as Ling Xiao was rushing to the Great Lane Temple's rescue, somewhere in the chaotic void, 3 figures stood in the sky. Divine aura filled the air and emitted a terrifying aura. It was as if the sky was about to shatter. Among the 3 figures, one of them was a man in black armor. He looked heroic and tall. His entire body exuded a black mist, and his eyes were as sharp as a blade. There was also a burly man in beast skin. He held a huge mace in his hand. His entire body was emitting surging blood qi. His physical body was extremely terrifying. His hair danced wildly in the wind. His eyes were filled with invasive light, and he emitted a wild aura. The last one was a young man who looked perfect. He was in a white robe. His body was strong and his skin was glowing. His entire body emitted an ethereal aura. His eyes were indifferent. It was as if he was a supreme emperor overlooking the world. He ignored all living things and did not put anything in his heart. These 3 people were the ancestor of the god-burying tribe, Zongsu, the shaman king of the sorcerer tribe, Qi Kongjue, and the heavenly king of the heavenly human tribe, Bai Wuliang. No one would have thought that these 3 peerless experts would meet here. Zongsu, are you sure that Ling Zhao's strength is not weaker than yours? Qi Kongjue's eyes flashed as he looked at Zongsu. There was a trace of seriousness in his eyes. That's right. His physical body and divine power law have reached the double god realm. His strength has probably reached the peak of the divine spirit realm. Coupled with the wordless heavenly book, he probably won't be defeated by me. If it wasn't for his strength, I wouldn't have let him go so easily. I would have killed him long ago and snatched the wordless heavenly book. Zhang Su said slowly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.